welcome to the Krug Show. Probably should put myself in the middle here. Welcome to the Krug Show, presented by Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue you're going to find. Also brought to you by New York Style Italian Sausage. In addition to that, Marin Autoglass, Underdog Fantasy, and Mojo Fantasy. Click that link in the description. Type in Krug in the promo code, and they'll match you up to $100. Well, that was a game. Warriors lose to the Kings in Sacramento. It was a in-season tournament game. The final was 124-123. Golden State not only needed to win, they needed to win by 12 to win the group play. So Sacramento advances to the quarterfinals in the in-season tournament, 124-123. Malik Monk with a wild desperation shot over Andrew Wiggins at the end. Warriors led by 17 at the half, but Monk and Fox and these guys got hot in the end. Fox finished with 29, 21 for Herter, 21 for Monk. And the Warriors lose to the Kings for the first time all year, 124-123. Welcome to the Krug Show. Frank Red in the house, Rise in the house. Danny's going to join us. Baller will be here. Maybe even Cyrus at some point. Guys, what'd you think? First of all, great to see both you guys. Happy holidays. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. We got a lot of exciting things on the horizon here at the Krug Show, and then in the Bay Area sports scene with the Giants talking Shohei and Yamamoto and big free agents, and the Niners and Eagles going on Sunday. But man, we're focusing on Warrior Hoop tonight, and the Warriors lose this game. Before we talk about the game itself, I don't get, nor do I care about this in-season tournament. And maybe it's just like, some people are like, you'll care about it in 3 years. I'm like, all right. I just don't see, outside of like jump starting kind of a quiet ratings time for the NBA and giving us a few more juicier games, I guess, because tonight was definitely a juicy game, but, I don't know. The players are wealthy anyway, and they're going to get a little bit more money. So maybe they play a little bit harder. I don't know, man. It's just, maybe I'm missing something. If they stopped the season and had a tournament at a location, maybe that would be different. These like interspersing Tuesday and Friday and throwing, hey, it's a tournament, when the fans, I don't know what the fans are really getting out of it.
It doesn't feel like a tournament.
It doesn't feel like a tournament. And also it's so manufactured, and maybe it's because I'm not a fan of premiership soccer and football across the pond. So maybe that's why I'm not getting it. I'm not jazzed for it, but to me, it's a gigantic nothing burger. And I tweeted that earlier today, and there was some pushback. There were some people like, hey, you don't get it. The players are playing harder. They're into it. The ratings are up. I know the ratings are up. I did see they're up like 55% off of this same time period a year ago. But why do I even care about that? I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of a weird thing. It's like I'm told we should care. I don't want to be like the one guy who doesn't like it. It adds a little juice. There's no harm, no foul, but I'm just not getting it. I'm not seeing what I as a fan should be excited about. What do you, am I missing it? Are you guys excited by the tournament? What's your guys' thoughts on this kind of a made up deal? This is year one of it.
I actually think it's a good innovation to the NBA, but they didn't quite get it right. First and foremost, it does set up some regional rivalries that actually can evolve and mean something. Like the Kings against the Warriors, it's almost a rivalry now. Not quite, but it's almost a rivalry. Now, where the NBA got it wrong is why they think they have to emulate exactly what's happening in Europe. I have no idea. The point differential is ridiculous. You got these guys running out there, like they're in third grade math class. No, If one team, if two teams have to play an extra game to decide who gets in, then do that. I don't understand why the point differential, because it actually taints the NBA's game. And I think it causes friction among the players, because I think it's disrespectful. Beyond that, I like it because I think that it does add juice. You get to see younger, exciting players emerge. Even a guy like Moses Moody tonight. I mean, he had his moment before a nation in the game that mattered. And people are like, who the hell is Moses Moody? They know who he is now.
Well, somebody should tell Steve Curry's pretty good, because it's like, what the heck? Steve, I love you, brother, but what's it going to take for some of these young players to get in the mix? I mean, Moses Moody, I agree. I thought Moses Moody was one of the bright spots tonight. And if you look at the night that he had, I mean, he had a good night statistically. Moody winds up with 11 points, but he plays 13 minutes. Why only 13 minutes? I mean, the Warriors substitution. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where to start with the Warriors. I mean, Barkley in the pregame was like, Golden State's cooked. You know, they've got an old team. They're not a contender. Clay's not the same guy. Draymond's not the same guy. He kind of was putting the Warriors down. But I'm not really getting why guys like Kuminga and Moody and Pajemski and Trace Jackson Davis, when Kerr's gone to these guys have delivered, and yet they don't get any run. They don't get any run. And it would be one thing if Golden State was awesome. They're not. They're 8-10. I don't understand why. What does Moses Moody have to do to get run with any consistency? He was 4 for 4 from the field. He was 3 for 3 from 3. He did not miss a shot the entire night. He only gets 13 minutes.
Don't forget that literally I was going to say 5 seconds before he got pulled. Sorry, I don't know if my mic's on.
No, we got you.
Okay, 5 seconds before he got pulled, Clay fouled on the screen, and Moody just absolutely wetted the ball. Like it would have been his 4th 3 in a row. And instead, you just immediately take him off. Like he's clear. There's never been more of an unspoken rules team than the Warriors. Like when somebody has it going, you keep them in the freaking game and you feed them the ball. Like that's what you do. And to take him out, it's honestly, I'll tell you what. If it was Jonathan Kuminga doing that and Wiggins was having an off night, he would have left Kuminga in. He is afraid to take out Clay. He doesn't want to lose Clay. It's clear.
Yeah. I mean, and look at this game tonight. Peyton went out with a leg injury, maybe a calf pull of some kind. CP3 went out early on with a lower leg injury with pain in his lower leg. So, I mean, you already are down 2 guards and Moses Moody is not missing, and you don't feed the hot hand. And you're right. Everybody's tiptoeing around Klay Thompson, and Klay Thompson is nothing close to what he used to be. And Klay's like battling with Kawakami and clearly can't handle the twilight of his career. It's sad, actually. I'm not sure what the solution is here, guys. I mean, Golden State needs to make a move I don't know. I mean, I know Steph is Steph. And so, you defer to your star player in the NBA, and he loves Draymond and he loves Clay. But I mean, I don't think they can get it done first of all, this idea that Klay Thompson's going to get an extension for $40 or $50 million. It's like, come on, you got to be high if you're thinking you're going to give that kind of a extension. He's probably more like a $15 to $20 million player at best. Even then, that would be seemingly very high for a guy in decline. I know last year he struggled early and he finally put it together. But I'm not seeing it. I'm not sure what they're seeing, but it's clear that they're kind of tiptoeing around Clay, and it's a weird vibe.
I think Clay's been playing a little bit better the last few games. I mean, he had 17 in the first half tonight, and I was thinking, okay, it's going to be a Clay night, but then he finishes the game with 20. And on the Moses Moody point, like you guys, we're all on the same page here. He should not have been pulled. He got pulled after back-to-back threes. Him and Vezenkov traded a couple. Yeah, that was awful. Andrew Wiggins, I thought this was one of Wiggins' best games of the season. He was aggressive. He was attacking at all three levels on offense. He was hitting threes. He was getting to the rim. You got some mid-range. But, fellas, this game came down to the turnovers and the fouls. My
third
God.
Third quarter.
My God. 20 Kings shot 20-something free throws in the third quarter, 40-something for it was a glorified free throw contest. When it wasn't, there was a nice pace. Warriors put up 72 at half, and I'm thinking, hey, not only are the Warriors going to win, but they're going to cover these 12 points to get into this tournament here. And I do want to go in on the NBA with the tournament. Does feel like the players have some extra juice, but I think it's got to be some kind of single a limb at a specified location, because spacing out the games a week apart, it kind of loses something with me. It didn't feel like a tournament that I'm aware of. Do some March Madness, single a limb. That's a tournament.
This is more of a, what this is? This is, we made the schedule. Now within the realm of the schedule, how do we boost the ratings for the flat rating period? And so they just gerrymandered this tournament. It's not really a tournament. And the only thing at all that tells you that it's a tournament are the goofy floors.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise you wouldn't know that it's a tournament. I think the result has been, there's been some juicier games. So in that way, it's been effective, right? I think most NBA people would say, hey, this has been effective. Look at the ratings, but I don't know. I really don't like the whole, points thing. That's just such a foreign concept. And it's I don't know. It just seems beneath the NBA. I agree with Baller. How about this? How about take a week off, or take the time between Thanksgiving and Christmas and take all the teams and put them in Vegas and have a tournament in Vegas and have almost kind of like an extended all-star weekend, NBA, type, almost like a convention, in Vegas. It works during summer league. You got all kinds of people sitting courtside and the atmosphere's cool. Why not head to Vegas for the holidays or in between the holidays and get rid of some of that useless travel? They're trying to get rid of useless travel. And, and I think it would be cool to see other teams in the stands watching some of these games. I don't know. It just seems like if you're going to have a tournament, have a tournament. If you're going to have games, have games. It's like they want to have games and then call it a tournament.
Yeah. I'll tell you, my whole thing watching this game, though, tonight, guys, was what the heck was, I heard you guys talking earlier about Moody, and obviously, but Moody's hot. He takes him out with just 4.5 minutes left. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's just going to give him a break and bring him back in 2 minutes, 2 minutes off the clock, give him 3 minutes rest, get his win back, and then he's going to bring him back in.
He never came back again.
He never came back in again. Curry, he was on mic. He said, hey, look, they're blitzing me. You could see how they're blitzing him every time he comes over half court. And Curry had to get the ball out. And that was when Moody was hitting. And it's then they go to give it the ball to, I think Wiggins maybe brings it up, and they have Curry go off ball. Then they go right back to Curry bringing the ball up, and he gets blitzed again with no shooters now. It's I don't understand that. And here's my other beef. I don't like to blame refs and say games are – I'm telling you, that looked like a fixed job to me. That last shot by Curry, I'm telling you, I videoed it. I don't know if you can play it without sound. He got his foot stepped on. What happened to the space? Guys landing in space. He got his foot stepped on.
On the last possession? Is that why he kind of stumbled?
Let me show it to you right here. But if I send it to you, you can probably put it on the share, right? and share the screen?
I don't know.
Seems
I
like
don't
a
want to
lot
get
of effort.
demonetized
All
over
right,
it.
look at this. Look at this. Look at his foot. Wait, let me play it again. His foot gets stepped on. He totally got stepped on. There's a rule in the NBA to protect the shooter. You got the greatest shooter, one of the top 3 players in the entire league, and you don't protect him. He totally got stepped on.
The Warriors lost that game, though. The Warriors lost.
I understand that, Frank, but
yeah,
you got to call that foul. The best player in the league got stepped on.
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors had a 17-point lead. For those people who are tuning in going, hey, I didn't see this game, or, Golden State comes out first quarter, and, they win 37-29. Then they win the second quarter 35-26. They're up 72-55. At halftime, they're shooting 54%. They're plus 15 at the three-point line. They're plus 11 in the first half on the glass. Kings shot horribly from beyond the arc in the first half. They made 7 of 22. They shot 32%. But the Warriors kind of kept them in it a little bit with the 11 turnovers, and Sacramento was plus 4 points in the paint. Wiggins had a huge first half. He had 18 in the first half. Steph, 16, 8, and 5, did an incredible job on the boards. Clay was 17. Those 3 guys, Steph, Clay, and Wiggins, combined for 51 in the first half. And you're thinking, man, Sacramento's going to get blown out here. Barnes led them with 12. Herter had 11, but like Fox, Sabonis, and Monk were all in single digits at halftime. And then the third quarter happens, and all of a sudden it's a parade to the foul line. I mean, it was just an unbelievable number of free throws. How many free throws? I believe the Kings shot a ridiculous number of free throws in that third quarter.
Over 20.
Yeah, over 20. And they had 42. The Suns also, when they played them, had the most free throws in the 2020s. So
Sacramento wins the third quarter 40-32. And then the Warriors lose the fourth quarter 29-19. And once Monk gets hot, he starts hitting. And now Sacramento advances to the quarterfinals. I mean, basically it was Sacramento scoring 26 points off 20 Golden State turnovers. I don't know what else to say about this game other than, I just kind of felt like Golden State kind of lost their focus, and they've got a very bizarre vibe about them right now because Kerr's substitution pattern, it just feels really, it's like, I kind of feel like the Warriors' chemistry, which they started the year, they had such a great chemistry about them. Now you've got Thompson trying to find himself. You've got Curry. They haven't been able to have any kind of consistent secondary scorer. Tonight, Wiggins had a tremendous game. But this has been the exception, not the rule. Draymond got one of the most mysterious technical fouls I think I've ever seen. I mean, Draymond better just rein it in, because it seems like the league is trying to send him a direct message like, hey, dude, anything that you do. I mean, he was basically motioning like it was a carry, and they gave him a technical for it. So it's like he's got to realize kind of how he's being, reffed by the officials. I mean, he's got he may have the biggest reputation now, bad reputation among officials in the entire league. So he's not going to get any benefit of the doubt. I don't know. It's a bizarre team, because it's like, I want to see more of Trace Jackson Davis, because I think he can play. I want to see more of Pajemski, because I think he can play. I'd like to see more of Moody, a little bit more of Kuminga. And instead we're getting 36 minutes for Clay, 36 minutes for Wiggins. I mean, the starters played tons of minutes, and the only guy off the bench that got over 15 minutes, I guess the only 2 guys would be Saric and Payton. I don't know. It's a long season, and it seems to me that you want to ride the hot hand, and it seemed that Moses Moody had the hot hand, and for him to not get more run, and he's a very respectful guy, But at what point, if he was a little bit more of like a me guy, he might demand a trade. Because I mean, he's not playing enough. It's one thing if he was a rookie. He's not a rookie. And I don't know. It just seems like if I'm Moses Moody, I would be like, hey, you know what? Either play me a little bit more, give me a role, or get me somewhere else where I can play. And then I don't know what's going. What is your guys' read on Kuminga? It's like Kuminga had a great preseason. Heck, last time we were on here, Carl and Cyrus were at each other's throats because Cyrus was saying that he's a flat out scorer. And I think the rest of us were saying, hey, look, he's an athlete. He gets up and down, but he ain't anywhere close to a scorer, a true, KD scorer. And that got pretty heated. I think it's pretty clear at this point that Kuminga's got a lot of potential, but he's far from any kind of a dependable player. What do you do here? I mean, I threw out a poll question the other day. I said, if you're a Warrior fan, would you rather, and you had to move either Clay or Kuminga to get, Steph a better chance at a ring, who would you rather move? Clay, Kuminga, neither, or both? And, Clay got the most votes for being moved, but then so a lot of people said both. But I mean, then a lot of comments were like, hey, you don't appreciate Clay, and Warrior fans don't appreciate Clay. Do the Warriors owe Clay something for what he did in the past, or has he been has he been compensated handsomely and he's in the wrong here? I mean, am I missing something here? Or is there some kind of unwritten rule that says that he needs minutes and dollars because they won championships with him? It just seems like if they do pay him big money, it's all going to be based on the past. What do you guys think? Frank, what do you think?
I think this is a make or break year for Clay. I get the loyalty, the emotional connection. He was a part of a team that won 4 championships. It might never happen again in the history of this organization, but it's going to come down to dollars. They're not going to pay him more than $25 million, and he's going to find out real quick what his true value is. I'm a little disappointed in Clay in terms of his disposition. For a guy as smart as he is and as privileged as he's been, he can't take a little heat from the media or from fans asking, obvious questions. I want to see Clay retire as a Warrior, but the stank that he sometimes walks around with and him being delusional about, how he plays. And like Baller said, he's been playing pretty well the past couple of weeks. But I want to see him evolve and understand that you're not the guy that you used to be. And, this is not one of Steve Kerr's best games because everybody's right. There's no way that Moses Moody should have been out of the game tonight. Kerr, to me, was the biggest component for losing the game. Challenging that kick, that shot by Stephen Curry was absurd. It was absolutely absurd. If he has a timeout, the Warriors still win that game. So this is a terrible outing by Kerr, and Clay has to get it together, man.
Yeah, I think they, to me, the best lineup, I don't know what their best lineup is, but I would change their lineup completely. I would start Trace Jackson Davis in the middle. I'd go with Green and Wiggins, and I'd start Moody and Curry. Get some shooters in there, get some defenders in there, and your second unit could be Paul and Thompson and Looney and Kuminga. I mean, I think you'd have a lot better chance to win games if you had more defenders in there. And I mean, GP2 is a big loss tonight. Hopefully he's not out for a long time. He played great on defense. If those guys are out for a while, Paul and GP2, man, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle even worse than they're struggling now.
Baller, you're muted.
I'm worried about the GP2 injury. That one I'm a bit nervous about. They're saying it's a calf, but I'm just concerned. I'm hoping for the best, but could the Achilles be involved?
I think
Hopefully
it's a
not.
little
Hopefully
too
it's just-
high for. I think it was a little too high for the Achilles.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Good.
Because
I thought it was a knee, actually.
He was playing awesome. Gary Payton was making plays, blocking multiple shots, getting up and down in transition, grabbing rebounds in traffic. Like Gary Payton was playing awesome throughout that game. And yeah,
But I mean, it
Hey,
could be an Achilles, but I hope not.
light the beam, but light the green, because I'm trying to forget about this loss immediately. And the Malik Monk, the prayer of a shot that won the Kings the game. Like Wiggins, I thought Wiggins played some good defense. He was the main defender on De'Aaron Fox, who really gave him a tough time, especially in the first half. And then Fox shot a bunch of free throws. But yeah, there was.
Is that your brother or your nephew that's in the super chat?
My brother. Hold on a second. let me share the screen here, because this we got to play. This is Clay the other day,
right,
with Kawakami. I think Frank was referencing this, and let's hear what Clay has to say
talks
here.
a lot about believing in his guys, especially the starting line.
Here we go from the start.
Kurt talks a lot about believing in his guys, especially the starting lineup. Won championship not too long ago. Having patience, letting guys kind of, find their game. How aware are you of that kind of patience, and how much do you value it?
What do you want me to bench me?
No. It's like that's
bench Wiggs.
I don't think I said that.
Okay. I mean, you can suggest it. It's fine. But I mean, thanks, Steve, I guess. Like, I don't know. Sometimes you earn these things like patience and time to find yourself. And I think history is on our side when it comes to that stuff.
You say that. Have you heard people say that, or
No, I don't care what people say. Like, they don't do what we do. They can't do what we do. That's why they talk. Why would I? Like, come on. I don't care what people say at this point in my life. Next question.
That he's clearly bothered by that.
That's cringy.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think of that? I mean, I love Klay Thompson. Okay, first of all, when Klay was just coming up, the Warriors had a couple different. My kids were littler. They had a couple of events over there, and there was like a basketball camp, and he's like a jumbo kid. He's playing with the kids. He's great with kids. And it's like he didn't have a care in the world. In a lot of ways, this guy was like the easiest teammate of all time coming up. But now that he feels it slipping away, he's kind of always pointing to the ring. And there's like a bitterness and like he's having a hard time handling this chapter of his NBA life, where he's made, the guy's probably made $300 million. Right? Between on the floor, off the floor, the Anta money, he's probably made $300 million. He's got 4 rings. This is the time where you say, hey, look, I'm easy. What's good for you guys? Let's, I'm taken care of. My family's taken care of. My kids, my grandkids. I've got generations of Thompsons that are financially secure based on what I've made in this game. I love being here. I love the Bay. I want to be here. I'll take less to be. No, you get the vibe that like he's going to feel disrespected if they offer him probably twice what he's worth. If they offer him $30 million a year, he's probably worth 15. He's going to feel disrespected. So they have a major problem on their hands. And it's like, do they pay him based on his ego and yesteryear? Because guys, I really don't think. It may be the Warriors can't win any more rings anyway. Charles may be right. They may just be done. But to me, they're more done if they have to go forward to the finish line with Clay, Draymond, and Steph than they are if they decide to move one of those guys. I think the better move, and I see this in other sports, and you guys have seen it as well. Sometimes, for whatever reason, guys can handle that transition to the next stage of their career easier when they switch locker rooms because they don't lose face. They don't lose face with the guys that hey, I used to be this, but now I'm this. And it's easy for me to do that if I move to the Blazers or the Lakers than it is if I stay here where I was that guy. I don't know. And yet if you bring this up, it's very, very Warrior fans get very, very illogical with this. It's like it becomes an emotional argument and you don't appreciate, what Klay's done. And we're so in love with this era of Warrior basketball. And I think I'll say it, I think there's a lot of Warrior fans that weren't Warrior fans before this era of basketball. So they're kind of like newbies to the whole thing, where you guys have all, we've all seen generations of players come and go and rookies, veterans, retired. Now they're broadcasters. I think there's lots of Warrior fans that are so tied to the good old days. They just don't want to let it go. And it ain't, the old Klay Thompson ain't walking through that door, and championships are probably not coming. So do you stay, super, living in the past and keep rolling with these guys and just lose but lose with guys that you loved and once won with? Or do you try to see if you can shake it up and move him in some kind of a deal? I get
what
the
I want to
sense,
add, Larry.
and one other thing, I get the sense that instead of doing that they potentially, based on what I'm reading, are on the verge of moving Jonathan Kuminga and watching him flourish somewhere else. And I think that would be a huge mistake. So I'm very nervous right now for the Warriors as far as, where they're at with their roster and how they see things. I don't feel like the management there and me see it the same way.
What I want to add is that Klay's on an expiring deal, and sometimes those expiring contracts, those are coveted.
Sure.
Teams will trade a better player, who's on, maybe he's got 2 or 3 years left on their deal, but they want to, move off him for that cap space in the offseason. Now,
is that
I'm
working
probably
the same way though with the new CBA? I've heard that it's changed a little bit.
The CBA definitely changed, but trading that salary spot, I don't think that would ever change.
Okay.
So
now, one of the
I
things,
don't think I'm actively trying to trade Klay, but if there's a move that is going to make this team better, then you got to do it.
you definitely have to do it. Well, as far as the money goes, to me, Klay should be paid like, what was Lou Williams making with
Too much.
With the Clippers? Was he making
20 million, 25 million, wasn't it?
Was he making that much?
At the end, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Because Klay, to me, is, just he should be a guy that gives you 18 to 22 minutes a night, off the bench when you need scoring. And,
it's not just the money. It's also the shot selection. He's trying to become the player that he once was. And to me, I really think that what I see is a guy that could, if he wanted to kind of reinvent himself, could have an entire DeMar DeRozan 2 or 3 years where he's just absolutely money as a mid-range sniper, but he so much wants to dial it back to his glory days that he wants to take these heat check threes and roll into threes and kind of the unconscious three. Don't you guys think? I mean, I love how the ball looks coming off his hand in the mid-range when he squares the shoulders. I'm like, that shot's down. His shot's pure in that range. But he keeps trying to find that sweet spot from three, and he shoots them out of games.
All right, I got a couple things. Klay at this point is like the 40-year-old chick that she still looks good, but she is still dressing like she was 20. And she's getting a bunch of weird plastic surgery. And it's like everyone's starting to kind of notice, and it's like no one's really saying anything, but it's making it weird for everyone. And it's like, why are you still hanging out with you would be like still a good looking 40-year-old, and there's a way to look beautiful when you're 40. You just don't dress that same way. And that's Klay Thompson right now, and it's weirding out the rest of the team. he's a complete bummer when he's out there. When he's out there bricking or, turning the ball over, like it completely deflates the whole team because no one really wants to say anything. It bums out the crowd at Chase. Like everyone realizes it. But here's the thing. You can't get rid of Klay because he's your only other shooter besides Steph, unless Moses Moody actually gets a real run and proves himself. But right now, Kerr is seemingly determined to leave him on the bench, and he's fine. He's fine screwing over Wiggins. I know I already made this point, but like he was doing it early in the year. Remember, he was coming out. He's like, this year, man, you got to prove that you're willing. We're going to go with the hot hand into the end of the game. And it's like Moses Moody, not only did he hit those 3 threes, he also hit the one where Klay, fouled on the screen. He hit that one. Also the one where Wiggins, that was the weird flopping foul. He also hit that one. So he could have potentially been 5 for 5 from 3. The guy's stroking it. He's actually providing you a little juice, and he's actually someone that can guard, and he's big. Yeah. It's like the Warriors, like you look, the whole league is all of a sudden has these freakazoids that are fast and athletic, and they're getting up and down the floor, and they're incredibly deep. And then it's like the Warriors, you look at them, it's like, look, Pajemski's fine. He's okay. He's an okay player, but like he's another small guard that's not very good on defense. And he's not like A+ from 3. So it's like you have Corey Joseph, Chris Paul, Pajemski, Klay. It's like you have all these slow guys that can't really shoot. They're not really good at defense. It's just like a complete mess. So like you need another 2 to replace Klay that can actually guard and take some, because when Steph and Klay and Chris Paul are out there, Steph's the best defender. And that's insane. You can't put that on Steph. Also Kuminga, he's fine. He's fine, but he's a low IQ player. He's not good from 3. He turns the ball over too much. I'd be fine getting rid of him. I'd be fine getting rid of him and Klay if it meant we could get Caruso and maybe something else from the Bulls. I don't really care about Levine. Levine's fine. Like, he comes in, he
doesn't play a lot of D either.
No, but like Caruso comes in, he's okay. He's a little bit of size. He can hit threes. He actually guards. Like he's got a little bit of that Gary Payton vibe. I just don't know what this team, it feels cooked. It feels cooked. And Draymond, dude, what are you thinking? Like, yes, that was a kind of a rough call, I guess, on the technical there. But like, what are you doing?
Talking about guarding him at half court?
Yeah, but like, that too. But like, dude, you literally just got thrown out of 2 games in a row, and you choked out Rudy Gobert, and then you missed 5 games, and your first game back, you can't contain yourself? Like, come on, like show a little bit of poise here. It's just feeling very similar with Draymond and Klay. Draymond still can be a playoff winning player, but like, what is it? Like, it's these guys that feel like they're overcompensating with all of the attitude and the bullshit.
Was that a phantom, like where he went down? It didn't look like he got hit. He looked like he acted like he got hit hard in the mouth or in the face somewhere.
That was a flop.
Yeah. And then he lays down there and is looking for like sympathy, like, oh, called, man, I got hit in the face. And then Kerr's like, get up, come on, get up, get on the.
This team has multiple issues. I mean, from what I had heard and read in the last couple of days, I guess the Warrior front office was really frustrated with Andrew Wiggins, the way he started this year as far as his conditioning. Didn't feel like he was in proper condition. The Chris Paul thing is very interesting. I think that was a phenomenal trade looking back, because Poole has continued to regress, and Paul at least is going to be an easier asset to move, you would think. But I mean, it's really, the Warriors are going to be really, Dunleavy's going to earn his money, because they need a kind of a little bit of a reset. And yeah, do they have some pieces like the expiring of Klay if they wanted to move him? Yeah, but I mean, the team acquiring him is going to want to make sure that he's in the right mindset wherever he goes. I mean, he seems so fragile right now. He might go off the deep end if they traded him. He seems like a trade is like, he would feel like betrayed by Steph, betrayed by the organization, mad as hell. Really distracted. I don't know if I'm on the other end of that deal, if I want a player coming in that frame of mind. Then you've got Chris Paul, and yeah, he's got a huge contract. It's a $30 million deal, and it's an expiring, so it's valuable, but it's going to take the kind of team that's at the first stages of blowing it up, right? And they're going to have to be willing to take that expiring to kind of hit a reset. And just the fact that it's $30 million, the kind of trade you're going to make there has to either bring you either somebody who's kind of a problem, somebody who's hurt, or somebody who's outlived his usefulness wherever he's at and makes close to $30 million. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, there's limited. I mean, we could probably pull out the entire scope of the NBA salary structure and find like 3 teams that potentially even could take on that deal. And then you'd have to decide, do you want to have Karl Anthony Towns or whatever, whatever. There's a few players that could fit coming back. But I mean, it's not going to be, in a way, it's easy to move them because people want to hit the reset. But what are you taking back? And do you want what you're taking back? So I don't know. I mean, how do you guys see Golden State here? I mean, they're in a weird predicament. They don't look like they're title contenders. If you said to me, can they win a title this year? I'd say no. And if you asked me, can they win a title going forward? I would say no.
No.
So now you got to have there's business decisions as far as the arena and what Joe's envisioning as far as people coming through the turnstiles. There's fan sensitivities because there's so many fans who weren't even fans before this era. And so they're going to be like mentally burned by moving off of Klay Thompson, and they're going to need to be counseled. Then there's Steph and how's he feel? Because the last thing you want to do is trade Klay and have Steph go, hey, you know what? Trade me. So you got to keep him in the dialogue. You got Green and his aging status, and you got Wiggins and his big contract. I mean, you got some young players that really need to play. I mean, this is not, I don't envy Dunleavy because it's going to be very difficult to be the general manager who kind of recharts this course. Don't you think?
This can be a hard fall. This we're seeing a hard fall. This is as far as this team, competing for a title, forget it. They're not competing for a title this year,
or ever.
And that means they're falling apart. The dynasty is over. You've got a mix of guys that are fading. Klay's fading. Paul's 38. He's on an expiring contract. Draymond's now signed for 4 years to match up. Well, he's got 1 extra year longer than Steph, but he's, seems to be so, I don't know. There just seems to be issues there. I think Steph has still 4 great years left in him. I think he is going to age well. He's in great shape. I don't think Steph is going to want to hang around if this thing falls apart over the next year.
Oh, no, Danny, you're wrong.
I don't know. I'm serious. Why would he want to stay just to stay with it? He wants to win a title.
They're going to give him a piece of the franchise.
But
he's going to want to be on a 20-win you're talking about an arena that's enormously expensive.
They're going to
be a fan base that's in love with this player. There's no way they're trading Steph Curry. Steph Curry's going to be here. It's just a matter of, as sports fan says, Steph is a freaking GOAT, but he also co-signed on Draymond and Klay Thompson. And so, there's going to have to be some really tough conversations. Guys, I kind of get the sense, and maybe I'm wrong, but I get the sense this is maybe one of the reasons Bob Myers is no longer here. I don't think he wanted any part. I don't think Joe wanted Bob anymore, but I don't know that Bob wanted to sit there and go, sink into the ocean with this group. This is they had a great run, but it's clearly over. And now I guess the question is, what's the best way to kind of hit the reset and kind of rechart their thing so it's a positive? Does anybody have any ideas? Frank, what do you think?
I mean, I'm listening to you guys, and I was watching the game tonight, and for a significant part of the game, the best team was clearly the Warriors. I think the Warriors are better than Sacramento. And Sacramento is supposedly one of the better teams. I think that they are. Sacramento needed this game tonight. I'm glad they won. But the Warriors, to me, are still better. Chris Paul got injured. GP2 got injured. One of the things that is very, very clear is when you have Chris Paul, Stephen Curry, and Klay on the court at the same time, Chris Paul calms them down, and the offense actually runs smoother. What I want to see is Kerr coach the team without injecting politics. That's what I want to see. This is a good team. Kuminga, we were talking about him. Yo, I would give Kuminga a B- this year. Tonight he was terrible, but he's had a lot of good games. This guy's averaging double figures, and he's playing 20 minutes a game. Moses Moody, yo, it's disrespectful to coach him the way they're coaching him. Up until this week, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs, how could Brandon Pozinski play more than Moses Moody? Are you kidding me? I mean, it's total bullshit. So my thing is, coach the team and be honest and stop injecting politics into this organization. This team is fine. Can they win a championship? I don't know. Can they win an opening round playoff series? Absolutely. Absolutely. Should Jackson Davis play more? Yeah. I like this team, man. I do. But I think you got to coach the team correctly.
Yeah. I agree with the assessment that you have to coach it differently. I think the starting lineup, as I said, I think it should be Moody and Curry in the back court, and it should be in the front court. It should be Davis, Wiggins, and Green, and get some guys that can play in their natural positions and that can rebound. You can't compete with the big teams like Minnesota and OKC and the Lakers. When you play those teams and you face them with the lineup that they put out there, they're too small to beat those teams.
Well, they can't shoot.
How about the way they played Cleveland earlier this year?
Cleveland's another one.
The only way to beat those teams is to outshoot them, and they're bigger and shoot better.
Yeah.
We welcome in Cy, who just got finished with being locked on Warriors. We got the full boat. By the way, if you're just tuning in for the first time, Frank Red up top. I'm in the middle here. The great Rye Smith and OG on the Krug Show. Top box here. Bottom, you got Baller. Baller's got his own channel. Rye's got his own channel. Frank's got his own channel. Danny's got his own channel, sort of. And no, I'm just joking. And the man, the last person to be discussed and introduced here, the final part of our 6-man box, locked on Cyrus Satsis. Cy Money, how are you, brother?
Oh, this is. I'm not great. That game is just frustrating to no end. It's not easy to do a show like that. It's a lot easier when they win. It's fun. It's a party atmosphere. But when you're facing an existential crisis like the Golden State Warriors might be facing, no bueno, man. That is not fun. So yeah, and it's frustrating. I mean, even if you don't love the Warriors, it's just to watch that product, man. Like to watch the officiating, right? Like there was one play where Moody hits a 3-pointer. They call a flopping foul on the European player in the Kings, who I always forget his name. I have to look it up. It's Vezenkov. So they called a flop on him. You're thinking, great, wow. Actually, it's actually like maybe a little fair here. And then they take Moody's 3 away. They take the flop away. Just the whole thing sucked, man. Yeah. So, but great to see you guys, man. Good to be here.
Abdulio says this dude Larry's entire channel is based off of losses and sausages. There you go. Maybe that should be the theme. Okay. Before you walked in the room, I thought Rye made a great point. Frank had made a great point.
Bravo.
Baller had made a great point. Danny and I are still kind of struggling with our great points, but I'm just joking, Dan. You always make good points, especially on Otani. Danny and I went for hours last night on his channel.
4 hours.
4-hour extravaganza on the NorCal. But Cy, we were talking about, and I agree with Frank. The Warriors are good enough to beat some teams. They're good enough to pull a first-round upset. They're good enough maybe even to get as far, if everything breaks right, I would say to maybe even the Western Conference Finals if the right situation broke and they continue to progress. I agree with Frank completely. I'd like to see Kerr coach the team without there being some fucking pecking order that is based on guys Hall of Fame, what they did in the past.
Yes.
I'd like to coach the sport in the present.
Yeah.
And if it mean, but it's really clear, and Rye made the point before you got on here, is that Clay is the issue, and Clay's inability to handle this stage of his career is the issue. Now, last year he started slow and he finished and he had a really strong year. maybe that can happen. But his contract situation, the way he views himself, all of it, the way he's dealing with the media, the Kawakami thing the other day,
Yeah.
which we already played before you got on here, it's all a gigantic bad vibe. And I'm just kind of wondering, what can they do is there anything they can do other than just kind of play this thing out? Is there any midseason move that they can make that can help them? I don't know. I mean, they're probably not going to win, but they got Paul's big expiring, and they got Clay getting worse, and they got Draymond. I don't know. Is there a solution of any
is there
kind
like a
that can improve
salvation you're
this?
asking? Like the only player out there that would excite me in terms of a trade that could be realistic would
Right.
be Pascal Siakam. You and I have talked about him for years, Larry. I think if you make a move for him without completely, eviscerating your nucleus and you keep your talent intact, I think they have a shot making a move like that. I actually think this team, if it's coached, I think to me it's all coaching right now. Like I know Clay is a clear problem in terms of the player who is not living it up to what you'd hope and what you'd expect. But you've got a coach, as everyone's mentioned here, who's playing favorites. The way he used Moody tonight was egregious. It isn't just the fact that he yanked Moody when he had a hot hand. It's also the fact that he was playing Corey Joseph ahead of him. Like Steve Kerr has this weird obsession with needing a ball handler who's excels at it, like a traditional point guard. We saw it last year with Ty Jerome, and we saw it tonight again with Corey Joseph. He has to always have a point guard. You don't need that. Like Phil Jackson, like with this triangle offense, there were a lot of moments throughout those 11 championships he won where he never had a traditional point guard out there. The Phoenix Suns are rolling the dice on a roster without a traditional point guard because some players and some people don't believe in it. I'm on that boat. Like, I don't think you have to have this traditional savvy ball handler out there to win, to be successful. And for him to play Corey Joseph over Moses Moody, that was criminal. I think you brought up Jonathan Kuminga. I don't think it's fair to lay any adjectives on his game tonight because we never saw him in the second half. And when he was in the first half, yeah, he scored no points. He grabbed a whopping 1 rebound, but he wasn't a detriment to the team either. He was a +4 in the plus minus. So to say that he played horribly look, he was not the reason they lost tonight. He didn't play. Like, he played 8 minutes, 9 minutes in the first half. We never saw him again. And just a week ago, I dedicated a whole episode of Locked On Warriors to the fact that Jonathan Kuminga as a second half player is night and day different from Jonathan Kuminga, the first half player. He is the type of guy that sometimes does need to warm up. He sometimes has slow starts, but you're never going to see the good stuff if you don't play him in the second half. And it's not just those two. Dario Saric has been one of the rare positives for this team all season. The dude's a gamer. And what do we see out of him tonight after he's been rewarding this team all season with great play? Oh, we see him for 17 minutes tonight. And he actually was one of the few productive members of the team out there, scoring 10 points. He was 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. Kerr is just bungling it. You've heard me a long time criticizing him. I never criticized him until last year. Last year, to me, totally exposed him. I don't know if Mike Brown not being there to help him out is what did it, but or the fact that the talent level is starting to drop and he actually has to coach now. But I'll put it to you this way, man. Look at the Houston Rockets, okay? Ime Udoka went in there and in 3 months has turned that team around to being a playoff contender. Steve Kerr would never in a million years do that. Ime Udoka knows how to coach. Steve Kerr was the right person at the right time for this dynasty. But what this team is now is a team that needs ingenuity, needs someone who has some vision, who is willing to roll the dice with his players and ride the hot hand sometimes if you have to, which is what most coaches do anyways. So for me, it's Steve Kerr, man. It starts there. And Joe Lacob to me is someone who really wants to win. All he does is talk about championships. So I think if this season tanks, which is the direction it's going, it's still early. I have faith in the roster, but the coaches, to me, is the problem. And I wish we were watching players with talent play. Podziemski's a gamer. Why did he get a DNP tonight? Why did Trace Jackson Davis get a DNP tonight? These DNPs for the wrong players happens a lot, man. We've been seeing this for like a year and a half now. And that's my gripe, man. I think either Steve Kerr needs to have some sort of moment of reflection and realize that what he's been doing is not working anymore because the talent is not there. Otherwise, they're screwed, man. I think it's really that simple.
You know, and you make a good point about the point guard. I agree with you when it comes to the regular season, but I do think you need a guy that can handle the ball. We saw the Celtics, I think, not win the championship because of Marcus Smart was their point guard. And the Warriors just, blitzed them and stole the ball and caused them a lot of turnovers. But you're right in the fact that I think the problem with Kerr, and I'm starting to see it, is that he's allowing the veterans, to make base his decisions on his lineup when clearly the eye test says leave Moody in the game. I mean, come on.
I hate to say this because I don't want to disrespect Kerr. Steve, if you're watching, and I apologize about what I'm about to say, but it's got a little bit of a Kapler vibe to it.
Ooh.
It's got a little bit of a Cap vibe minus the hand tattoo. What I'm saying is, Cap, you got the feeling that some of his biggest decisions were made at like 2:30 in the afternoon. And I get the feeling that some of these roster rotation ideas are made at like shoot around. You know what I mean? What about let's watch the game? He's got 19 coaches there. He doesn't have a coach who's ballsy enough to get in his ear and say, Steve, what the fuck? Moody's lighting it up. Let's roll with it. Or is it, I don't know the pecking order. I don't know the culture.
No, Kenny Atkinson is someone who I called out the other day as he has never faced consequences. He never faces accountability. The team hides him when it comes to interviews. Like he'll do them, but it's rare, and assistants can't get into the nuance of the team. Like they can't reveal strategy or that kind of stuff, but they shield him a lot. And to me, like he's where the finger should go because he took over Mike Brown's responsibilities as the defensive coordinator for this team. And ever since he took over, the defense went from being one of the best in the NBA to being what it is now. Like last year was one of the worst. This year they're like 20th, I think, right now in points given up. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And you're right. Why do you need 20 assistants? Like Rick Barry was telling me until the 80s, teams would have one coach total. Now there's like 20 assistants. What the hell are they doing there? Like it's crazy.
It is Kapler.
I think it's a blind loyalty. Kerr has this blind loyalty to Klay Thompson and mostly Klay at this point. But this loss tonight is on 20 turnovers. Like if you have 16 turnovers in a game, that's a ton. That'll lead the NBA in turnovers when you're putting up 16. To have 20.
Well, don't you think that was a direct result of not having Paul?
It was.
I mean,
because their turnovers have been really nice this year.
Will help. But what about the fouls? It's the fouls too.
Yeah.
It's the turnovers and the fouling. And I'm not even complaining about the referees in this game. It was the Warriors committed a ton of fouls, and that was to the Kings' benefit. That being said, I'm kind of with Frank. I'm still a little bit optimistic. Like, yeah, we are not championship favorites. We shouldn't be, right? But I feel like this team, they still have a puncher's chance. Moody needs to kick it up to another notch. And when you're, I'm not a big boxing guy, but when you're watching a boxing match or you hear about, in the pre-fight, this guy, he's got a puncher's chance, feels like that guy loses probably about 95% of the time. But that's what I would say about this Warriors team. I think they got a puncher's chance. If they get in, they get hot, maybe they make a move, maybe Kuminga kicks it up a notch. Moody, I think, is going to do some really good things this season. I think better days are ahead for him. Hopefully Kerr comes around and gives him the minutes it feels like he's earned. But this team, they got a puncher's chance.
So we gotta get a meal, man, and just kind of slug it out over Kuminga or over some chicken sandwiches. Because listen, dude, what
we got to do if we're gonna do this right, we got to move side closer to you there. So
there you go.
So now you can he can't hang out at the end of the jab. You know what I mean?
Side, you're the biggest Kuminga fan that I know. I didn't say it wasn't bigger. Now, with that said, I have been praising this guy to the highest of heavens. His ascension from last year to this year has been significant. But he was terrible tonight. He wasn't good. I mean, we don't have to debate it, but he's good on most nights. All right. And he's a solid player that the Warriors need to be successful. For Draymond Green to say that he's essentially not going to change how he plays That's a problem because he's in a different NBA. He's not going to get the love and the rope that he has received in past years. And if he doesn't know that, everybody else knows that. So this team is fine, man. I like this team. I'm concerned about the injuries, particularly Chris Paul, but I like this team. But Curry, like everybody is saying, dude, you are a brilliant coach when you focus on coaching. But the politics and all the other stuff, you have to let that go. I don't mind Clay starting. But he needs to be coached. He can't just kind of do what he wants to do. If he makes a mistake, there has to be consequences. He has to follow the game plan. If he does that, this team's going to be fine.
Frank, why do you use the word terrible? That's a strong adjective. Why do you call Kuminga terrible when he was a +4 out there and he only played 9 minutes? Of all the players to call out, why Kuminga?
Let me answer that. Because he's been playing so well, and I'm looking for his continued ascension. All right? You're right. I looked at his plus minus at halftime. He was a +3 because the Warriors +4 because the Warriors were up, 20 points. So when he was on the court, they were still overcoming his mistakes. But the problem with Kuminga, and this is what I don't like, he continually makes mistakes over and over again that he should not be making at this juncture of his career. He's gotten so much better. But if he's going to take that next level, he has to play better, man. That's all.
But again, he played the first half of a game, and he's 8th on the team in minutes. Why is his name even being brought up when he's barely playing?
Well,
that's my point.
Well, I'm gonna tell you
why him of all people?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. Because 8 or 9 out of the 10 players that played in the first half, he was the only one that I saw that made 2 or 3 mental mistakes that a player of his caliber should not be making at this stage of his career. That's all I'm saying.
Frank, he's the same age as Steph and Clay were their rookie years. Why do you have this level of expectation for him unless you had the same for them?
Let me respond. Okay. It's not your age. It's your experience. This is year 3. All right? I like the guy. I'm rooting for him. I want him to get the $80 to $100 million contract. But an average person with an average basketball understanding of what happens on the court will look at Kuminga sometimes and say, a JV player would make that mistake.
All right, well, that's a lazy critique. That's a lazy critique, Frank. Like you're basically saying because of your vision of the game, he's not passing the bill.
Quantify that, Si.
But the measurables don't support that. And again, he's 8th in minutes.
Si, quantify that.
Okay, quantify. Okay. He's 8th in minutes. He's just turned 21 years old. You say he's a third-year player, so the experience should count. But he played 20 minutes last year. He played 17 minutes a game his rookie year. He's not getting full-time minutes.
Let me respond to you.
He's getting spot minutes.
Let me respond to you.
All right.
Okay. I just had a practice today with 12-year-old girls. It's not about the game, Si. It's about the practice reps. This guy is practicing every day with some of the best coaches in the world. He has improved exponentially. Don't forget that. I'm very comfortable with where he is based on his history and his career. But if he is going to ascend to the point where he is a dominant starter, he has to stop making some of the mistakes that he's making. I'm not down on Kuminga, but I'm critiquing him where he started to where he is now. In year 3, he should not be making some of the mental mistakes that he's making.
But do you think is he the only one making those mental mistakes? Like, are you going to give?
Doesn't matter. We're not talking about someone else. We're talking about him. Let's focus on him.
But that's my point. Why are we talking about him at all?
Because he has the biggest upside. He has the biggest upside, the most talent, and I believe very strongly that his expectations of what he should be making a year or 2 from now is high level. I want him to get there, but he can't get there unless he stops making these pretty high school, first-year college level mistakes. And I'll give you another example, and I don't want to talk about anybody else. Moses Moody rarely makes the same mistake again. He's so smart. His IQ is so high. They're all being coached by the same people. Kuminga has to not allow his ego to get the best of him. When he doesn't do that, the guy's outstanding.
I agree to disagree there, man.
I think this too. I mean, I hate to jump in on my own show.
Please do.
But I just see a guy. We're fascinating on him because of who he is. This guy was projected by some people to go number 1 overall in the draft.
Correct.
They got him 7th overall. I thought it was an incredible steal. He clearly is one of, I would say, the top 15 all-around athletes at that size in the entire league. So I think we all have some expectations of him. Then you're talking about a kid who's, I mean, I'm not going to make excuses, but you're talking about a kid who hasn't lived with his parents for years, and he's, coming from the Congo, and it's a totally different translation. And I just think that he's, you got to give him time, but he needs floor time. He has to play himself. I think they need to coach him better, but I also think they need to, understand that there's going to be some inconsistencies there. And if you want to get this kid's potential, which is vast, you have to go through the bumps and the bruises of that. And you got to show a bit more patience with him and give him more time. I agree, though. They're seeing him in practice and in games, and there is a repetitive nature to his mistakes. And he seems like he's smart for 3 games, and then it's like he does things that remind you that he's really, really raw. So it's like, and they're like kind of in between. They're not really a title contender, but they're trying like crazy to get there. And so they kind of view him and Moses as too raw and too not dependable to invest minutes in, when those are the exact 2 guys they need to be investing huge minutes in. And maybe go to Klay Thompson and say, hey, Klay, let's come off the bench. Let's come off the bench. And let's, I think Kerr, I love Kerr. I just talked to him the other day, and we had an interview with him on 95.7. He's one of my favorite guys. But this is a weakness that he has as a coach, is that he can't have the hard conversations and be the super heavy. Now, it's part of the reason it's worked, but it's also now at a point where the roles need to be redefined based on where everybody's at and where everybody's likely to go. Kuminga, Moody, Podziemski, Jackson Davis, likely to get better. Steph, Draymond, Klay, Wiggins, likely to get worse. So I think that's got to be part of the equation. And I think that part of it is not even any part of it in Kerr's mind. I think that's a problem, because as the season goes longer, the veteran players are going to get more and more gassed, and the younger players, because of lack of minutes, are not going to develop. You need Kuminga, Podziemski, Jackson Davis, Moses Moody. You need your young guys to play more minutes, especially since you jettisoned Poole. And you need your veterans to understand that they need to play in complementary roles. And this is going to take some tough conversation. And does Steve want to have those? I don't think so. I don't get that sense. And that is why I'm frustrated with this thing. I'm suggesting Klay Thompson trades. I realize people are like, Krug, you don't appreciate Klay and this and that. But I'm ready to, I'm an impatient guy. I want to contend for a title at all times. Okay.
Agreed.
So I either want to contend for the title I can win this year, but since I've now determined that I can't win the title this year, and I've already made that determination, I want to eradicate and get rid of all these pieces that are and accelerate to the future. I want to move Chris Paul's $30 million. I want to move Klay Thompson. Because they can't win with these guys. There's going to have to be a shuffling. I want to move Wiggins. I want to explore big changes because I know they're not beating Denver. I know they're not winning the title. And I'm all about trying to get one more for Steph inside of like a 4-year window. I think it can be done, but it's going to take some GMing by Dunleavy. I don't think you're going to be able to roll with this right now. And I'd love to know what you guys think of Rye. We haven't heard from you in a while. What do you think is their direction going forward?
Well, I'd get rid of Clay and Kuminga, honestly. I mean, I think you just have to lean into the Steph. I think you said it perfectly that you want to be competing for championships at all times. I mean, you have a top 3 player in the league. You know, when's the next time the Warriors are going to have a top 3 player in the league? What, 40 years from now? 50, 60? I don't know. But they have it now. So they got to build a team however they can. You know,
Rob Pelinski did it last year.
I think that Steve Kerr, he almost needs the decisions taken out of his hand. I think Dunleavy, hopefully he has the steel balls to do this. But like, if I'm him, like, I'm just getting rid of guys until you start playing Moses Moody. I'm just getting rid of dudes. Whoever it is, I'm just getting rid of them. And because honestly, like, if you think about this team competing in the playoffs, I don't know how much Pajemski even helps them. Corey Joseph certainly doesn't help them. Moses Moody helps them. Jonathan Kuminga, I don't think fits this team. Their whole thing they're going for this year, the reason why they brought in Chris Paul is they're like, oh, well, we're just going to be the highest basketball IQ team. And, you know, we're going to move the ball and we're going to do all this stuff and we're going to be smart. And it's like, well, Kuminga doesn't really fit that. So let's just like really, I don't know. They got to, I would trade Kuminga and Clay because Clay's bumming everyone out. And I feel like he's just, I don't know. I think he's going to be a thing for the rest of the year.
Can I just add some things about Kuminga real fast that no one's talking about here? One is the Warriors last year were dead last in the NBA in free throw attempts. This year, they're middle of the pack. That's all Kuminga. He's number 2 on the team in free throw attempts because he attacks the rim consistently. Defensively, because of Clay's drop-off. Clay can't handle defending the best player anymore, although he had good stuff on Monk tonight that no one talked about for some reason. It was an awesome defensive play, but overall, his defense is not the same. Kuminga is handling those defensive assignments. Kuminga was one guarding Shai Gilgeous-Alexander against the Thunder. He routinely gets the toughest assignment. It's also why his rebounding numbers aren't as high as we want them to be, because he's oftentimes on the perimeter when those shots are going up defending these players, and his numbers are solid on the defensive side. You're right. There's no argument with me on the offensive side that we all want more, right? I just try to stay pragmatic and remember the kid's the same age as most rookies are now. He's still 4th on the team in scoring, despite being 8th in minutes. He's 2nd on the team in free throw attempts. He's routinely, like, again, being assigned the toughest player on the other side. And these are the numbers these numbers I'm going to share with you right now are why it frustrates me when we don't see him in the second half like tonight. He shoots 36% in the first half of games. He shoots 50.6% in the second half of games. He goes to the free throw line 0.9 times. Free throw attempts, 0.9 free throw attempts in the first half of games. That goes up to 3 free throw attempts in the second half of games. His turnovers go down in the second half of games. For some reason, at this stage of his career as a recently turned 21-year-old, Jonathan Kuminga just does not start games strong yet. That is clearly his weakness. So for Steve Kerr in a game where they lost the free throw attempt battle by 12 tonight, to not play Kuminga at all in the second half, and besides the move he did on Moody, that's where it's egregious. And you're never going to see Kuminga reach his potential playing 20 minutes a night, ever. Like you either got to like just go all in on this kid and just see what happens and stop doing this herky-jerky bullshit where the moment you're not happy with what he's doing in the first half, you just give up. That's horrible coaching. That's a lousy coaching job by Kerr. You got to give him his run. You got to see what he does. And as the numbers show, he does much better in the second half. You got to ride him out, man. So that's my piece on Kuminga.
I like your analysis on that. I really do. And it might sound very minute to an average fan, but he's not only getting to the free throw line, he's making his free throws. This guy is shooting, 75% from the free throw line as an NBA player forward is more than respectable. He does play good on the ball perimeter defense. I like so many things about what this guy's doing, but he has the potential to be a superstar. And I like his ascension, the way that the Warriors are using him. I do like it, but he needs to play a little bit more. But the onus is on him because it's all ego. He's a smart guy. So I really like that analysis, Si. It sounds like you're a little balanced there, man.
I'll say this. The one thing I do love about Kuminga is that when Kuminga wants to lock down a defender, man, he gets in that defensive pose. You're talking about 6'9", 6'10", tremendous length, unbelievable lateral quickness. he could be a suffocating defender who could guard like 4 different positions. I mean, seriously, nobody's quick enough to get around him. Nobody's strong enough to power him. He just needs some refinement. But his defensive posture, when you watch, I mean, I didn't even see it the first year, but I saw him D up a couple guys in the last week or two where he just gets in that defensive position. He's in perfect spot, and he can move to his right, to his left. He's long, he's quick, and it's like this is a dominating potential lockdown defender. The guy reminds me of like a 6'9" Sprewell. Remember the way Sprewell used to lock people down? He's just got ridiculous length and quickness. So develop them and roll with them a little bit. But I understand what it's because of this awkward position they're in where they kind of want to contend because they don't want to waste the end of Steph's career. But in reality, the future is probably with the young players developed around Steph in Steph's twilight. So you gotta develop those younger players. That's really going to be your only chance. And to me, it's like some of these guys that are kind of in the in-between stage, like if I could find a decent deal for Wiggins that involves some younger players, and I know he's pretty young anyway in his own right, but I would consider it. You know, I read an article this afternoon saying that Detroit is a team that, may really want Wiggins for whatever reason. If you could get Bogdanovich or make some kind of move, offer extra picks with him or players and get that Ozar Thompson, who's a Bay Area kid. I'd love to see something like that. I'd like to see them try to get one more piece that's more with their young guys and then develop those guys around Steph. I think that's their best chance to get Steph the ring in a cap sport. They're not going to be able to trade, for some super awesome second scorer they're going to the finals with. I don't know. To me, that seems like the more likely way to build this thing and maybe get a ring for Steph in the next 4 to 5 years is go turn one of these players into, shake the deck a little bit and see if you can add a little bit more scoring, a little, leaning on Wiggins and Clay for scoring tonight. They had a great night scoring. The three of them combined for 50 something. But that to me is like, get a little younger if you could. I don't know.
The thing with Wiggins, his contract is very team friendly. That's the thing.
It's $24 million.
He signed a team friendly deal, and he is the wings are so crucial, especially come playoff time. He is our big wing defender tonight. He guarded De'Aaron Fox quite a bit, but I didn't get to jump in on Kuminga. And what I wanted to say is he hasn't taken the leap that I think I've expected thus far. I still think that potential is inside of him, but the player Kuminga reminds me of, let me know if you guys see it too, but Gerald Wallace. Okay, Gerald Wallace was actually drafted by the Kings. All right, and the first 3 years in Sacramento, he did nothing. He averaged like 3 points a game in his first 3 years. He ended up going to Charlotte where he put up, 18, 19 points a game. And I spoke with Frank about this briefly. Frank, what did you say about Gerald Wallace?
I said he never really won. And
he's not a winning player. That was exactly what I wanted you to say, because that's what I'm starting to worry about with JK. It's like, even when he does come around, is it going to be like a winning style brand of basketball?
I think he is a winning player. And I'm going to tell you why I think JK is a winning player. I watch everything. When his teammates are having success, when they come off the court, he has a big smile on his face. He's greeting his teammates. And listen, the lineup, Saric, Chris Paul, Clay, Steph, and Kuminga, when they put that lineup out there, they're devastating sometimes. He's in the middle of that for all of the reasons that Cy talked about. Dude he's a top 15 wing defender in the NBA, in my opinion, right now. The only issue I have with Kuminga is his basketball IQ. And the Warriors can still challenge for a Western Conference championship, in my opinion. But nobody with that level of talent can make those high school level mistakes. That's it.
You know what? I have one more thing. This is a challenge for Steve Kerr. So, Steve, again, of course, he's listening.
Wait. This sounds like a center square.
Yeah. So I've only seen these.
By the way, that's my brother on the bottom of the screen. Fuck off. No more. Light your own beam. Light your own goddamn beam, Chris Kruger. All right.
So I've only seen these. I've only seen these 3 players on the court at the same time, one time this year. At least that I've been watching most of the games, and I've only saw it one time, and it was in the Denver game, and it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. And that is Moody, Wiggins, and Kuminga out there at the same time. Because what we saw tonight is Wiggins looked great, and that's because the pace of the game was up and down. That's how Wiggins play. Wiggins wants to play an up and down game. That's how he's going to look better on offense. And like, you want to get rid of some of the like low basketball IQ stuff from Kuminga, run up and down the court, get in transition, do all that kind of stuff. That's how you negate it. It's just that they always are so obsessed with this idea of playing the Steph type basketball, but it's like, it's okay. Give me a lineup with Chris Paul, Moody, Wiggins, Kuminga, Trace Jackson Davis, or even you could throw Saric out there, but just give me 3 super long wings. You know, Moody can shoot, Kuminga can hit the occasional 3, Wiggins can hit the occasional 3. Like, they could get up and down the court. They could shut guys down, because what really kills this team is like when they don't have any shooting out there, but then they also suck on defense and they're slow. It's like, if you're going to suck at shooting, then at least have awesome defense and be able to get buckets in transition. Like we saw the other night in the Suns game, like the young guys were going up and down the court and they brought them back in that game. And it was solely just because of transitional offense. Like, that's all. It was just transition offense.
And just to add to that, Ryan, the Warriors, and this is where I've been pointing the finger to the defensive side the whole year so far with their struggles. They're last in the NBA in fast break points. That's crazy. Like, that is not Warriors basketball, and that's indicative of a team that's not forcing turnovers and a team that is not pushing the ball. And
they're not long enough.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a good point, Ryan. I mean, you got to have long, athletic guys, because that's where the league is now. You look at Minnesota, you look at OKC. There's just super long and athletic, and the Warriors can't compete with those teams at this point. You know,
one thing that Kuminga could do to help get more minutes is rebound the basketball. I mean, you know, if he rebounded the basketball,
I think he does when he's playing down low, but when he's guarding the guys out,
exactly
out, you know.
But I mean, there's enough deep shots, and he's there. He's the guy that can be quickest to the ball in the middle of the floor.
Because
I mean, he played 19 minutes. You know, if a guy plays what he played tonight, actually, he played 10 minutes.
He played like 8 minutes. We never saw him in the second half.
Let me ask you guys a trade.
He only had
here.
1 rebound.
We're talking about a trade earlier with
Trout,
Clay,
moving Trout.
Yeah, Clay or Paul. What would you do this? And would this be? Toronto is going to trade Siakam at some point this year. They're going to want somebody in return. I'm wondering if they would take an expiring contract plus Kuminga. So how about Paul and Kuminga? And I did this and it works for Siakam and I just forgot his name again, but he played with the Warriors a couple years ago.
Oh, Otto Porter.
Otto Porter. Yeah. How about Porter? It gives him some shooting, gives him some rebounding, some defense, and Toronto gets a young budding star in Kuminga out of the deal.
I don't hate
would do it. He wouldn't do it without a pick. And the Warriors are not giving up any first-round picks. But I think with a pick, then he might consider it because he's kind of working from a financial perspective. And as Rice said, Baller said, I don't remember, Wiggins has an incredible contract. It's like the most beautiful
24
girl.
mil.
It's the most beautiful girl in high school. That's his contract right now, based on his production.
But there's 2 ways to look at it, right? Because some people look at that contract. He has 4 more years. That's like $100 million still owed to Andrew Wiggins. And until
but
tonight,
it's at a reasonable price. It's at 24 mil, 25, right?
And then 30 in the last year, 30 in the but again,
with some of these contracts that are out there that are just bloated, it's fairly reasonable.
But would you? But are other teams clamoring for $100 million they're going to owe Andrew Wiggins after this season? That's where I don't know if he has the value to that you guys are saying.
People forget he's Canadian.
In the NBA, in the NBA, you're always flipping contracts. So it's like, yeah, you're probably whatever deal they move him in, if they ever did move him, would acquire a player with probably a similar commitment. You know, it would be more about stylistic changes than moving contracts or trying to change your structure. I think, and I do think there's teams that would take Andrew Wiggins. Heck, if I was Sacramento after the way he played tonight, I wouldn't mind having Andrew Wiggins in Sacramento.
Sacramento's going to be a team that goes after Siakam. That's why I'd beat him to the punch.
Supposedly Monty McNair, if you believe the talk, is going after every major player that comes available between now and the deadline. They feel like they've got enough depth and enough good contracts.
Not the Warriors, but not the Warriors. Because Steve Kerr has to have his perfect players. They have to be perfect for the system. Otherwise, we can't have them. Like that's a part of Kerr that drives me the most insane. Is like his selectivity, his pickiness with players is absurd, dude. Like, get over yourself, man. Like actually try coaching and bring someone with a lot of talent who might be a little challenging. So what, man? Like they're getting beat out there because they don't have the talent. Like you got to make some sacrifices here. That drives me nuts. Sorry.
What do you think's approaching here for the Warriors? Are they going to, I mean, Joe's really competitive, but Joe also seems, I'll say the one thing that surprised me about Lakeup is I thought for a self-made billionaire that this guy would be just like cutthroat, you know, kind of like, you know, I'm not sentimental, and just be like, the guy would be like, you know what?
You know, I just to deal with.
Yeah, he's Steph. I guess it's Steph's call, so he's deferred to Steph. Maybe is that it? But I mean, here they are at this point, and it's like, what's going to happen to the Warriors if they go to the finish line with all three guys at big money?
They're going to be a 25-win team going forward
for how many years?
The next 3-4 years. If they carry all three of those guys, I mean, Curry fine, but Green can't shoot.
There's no room in the NBA salary cap for sentimentality.
And Clay's losing it. So if you run those guys out with, I mean, you got to do what the 49ers did. I mean, they got rid of Ronnie Lott. They got rid of Roger Craig.
AJ Jenkins.
They moved guys a year early. They won a Super Bowl in '94 without Ronnie Lott. They brought in Tim McDonald. You got to bring in new, fresh guys that you know, you can't be sentimental. I mean, look at those guys. They're still forever 49ers. They come back. It's not like, oh, we got sent away. We're bitter. We're never coming back. They love the 49ers.
Yep.
Agreed. Do you have an organization that actually does that, Dan? I mean, because I think fundamentally you're right. But looking at the different sports, I mean, you're talking about a 53-man team. It's just a different dynamics. Basketball is different. You know, I mean,
it's the Fram oil filter, man. Pay me now or pay me later. You want to go loyalty? Fine, you be loyalty. You're going to be your lottery team for the next.
Well,
I had to mute Dan right there because he went to a sponsor that's a rival of one of my sponsors. So that's why Danny was muted. So YouTube rule. He'll be back in 60 seconds.
I mean, sometimes then the rebuild is actually maybe not financially fun, but aesthetically and in terms of building the fanship, that's okay. You know, I mean, it's not my money. I don't have to feel chased. You know, bring Lauryn Hill back 7 more times or Bruce Springsteen. Do what the hell you need to do. But sometimes the rebuild is a part of the process. Pick the right players. OKC was terrible for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because they have a great general manager who knows how to pick players. Now they're set for the next decade. I mean, people are forgetting that they were not very good the past 3 years.
Well, people also forget how important it is to have a great freaking general manager.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Sam Presti's awesome.
Everybody talks about Jordan. Nobody talks about Rod Thorne. And everybody talks about the Lakers. Nobody talks about Jerry West. You know, I mean, Jerry West had a big hand in the Warrior situation. So,
hey, look what Rob Pelinka did last year with the Lakers. They were awful. They weren't even going to make the play.
Pat Riley as a general manager. He keeps turning that thing over, and they're just competitive and relevant. So I mean, it's just great general managers matter. Sam Presti is one of the best in the biz. He figured out a way to add like 7 million draft choices, and he kept getting all these picks. I mean, it was just I think they had like 23 picks over like an 8-year period.
It's up to 40 now, I think.
Now they've got Dort and Holmgren and Gilgeous Alexander, and I mean they're stacked.
And my boy Micic. You know, I love me some Vasilya Micic and Vesenkov.
You've always been a Micic guy.
I've been a Micic guy and a Vesenkov guy, and Vesenkov looked pretty freaking good.
I had a Vesenkov one time. It was a terrible. It lasted for like 10 days.
Larry deserves credit too, because you were in 2021. You were raving about Sengun. And that dude is already like a legit.
Thank you. Somebody give me my Sengun love.
I'm gonna give you credit for that, man. You were like loud.
You know how long I've been waiting for Sengun flowers? Was Rye going to give it to me? No. Was Baller? No. Danny? Frank? No. I need Cy to give me my Sengun.
Of course, dude. And the Warriors went with Kuminga and Moody. And Sengun is like...
I've got a vision of Alperen.
I've got a two-parter. Number one, positive spin. After just like kind of the last 2 years, are we going to look back at this Curry championship in 22 and be like, was that like one of the greater carry jobs of all time? Because Andrew Wiggins was firmly his second best player, and like
already am.
Yeah, well, I think and if Wiggins, in my opinion, if Wiggins would just play right now the way he played then, they would be a much better baskall team.
He played that way tonight.
Yeah, I think he's a big game player. That's one benefit to this tournament is that you get to see the guys who kind of show up in like games that are slightly elevated. Part two is, you know, when you take a look at like the landscape of the league, like I was just thinking in terms of like how good this Warriors team is. Let's say Steph Curry tomorrow blew out his ACL and he was done for the year. Would this be the worst team in the league?
Oh, is there a dump button? Can you like erase that?
As long as there's a Washington Wizards, they'll never be the worst team in the league.
I honestly am not sure. I think they might be the worst team in the league because least they'd at least be the worst watch because everybody else at least has fun guys they can like root for.
There's no scoring. I mean, that's the one thing. The Warriors, it's such a limp. They depend on Steph for.
This is all the more reason it's crazy that Moody wasn't out there more tonight. I mean, he's lighting up threes, and he played 13 minutes.
Absurd.
He should have played 30 minutes.
It's absurd
tonight without Paul and Peyton.
It's absurd. I played this game, Larry. I don't know. It turned out being a fun bit. If you want to do, we do like a minute over under where we go through every player on the Warriors, list what their average minutes are, then debate whether it should be more or less than. And it's egregious. Some of these minute distributions, man. Like Kerr needs to do something with these minutes for sure.
Oh, I'll tell you the one that I just don't understand, and I really believe if Nelly were coaching this team, I always think of the Nelly years because I watched him so many years make so many great decisions, and he would be playing Trace Jackson Davis.
Yeah, he would.
No doubt.
Nelly would be playing Trace Jackson Davis, and he would be using him liberally, and we would all be going, wow, Nelly's leaning tons on this rookie, and he would develop him because I'd
start him, man.
I would too. He's got he knows how to play. He plays totally. How many young big men play with that kind of pace and purpose? You know what I mean? He's not wild or, he makes great decisions. He's got great spacing on the floor. He knows how to play off of Steph. Just hang him out on the baseline and drive the lane and, either finish inside or dip it to that guy and let him jam it. I mean, all you got to do, it seems like they did that in the preseason, but they got away from it. And it's like, now it's like, once again, there's like, Cy or who was it that said about the pecking order of the rotation? It's like, you just get this. It's like the Warriors almost have to be explained, like who plays and who doesn't play. It's not like readily apparent. It's all based on like you didn't get the program. It's like,
with Green,
feels a little bit like Arthur Smith is making the lineup decisions.
Oh gosh.
Well, it's all decisions are based on like, stank guy on the bus. I don't want that guy staring me down on the bus.
You had a perfect opportunity.
We ride with Clay.
with Green was out for 5 games to experiment a little bit more with the lineup. You know, you could have gone like Rye talked about, super athletic. What happens if you went with Curry and Moody in the backcourt and the front court? You took even Green out, put Kuminga, Davis, and Wiggins. I mean, you would have some length. You'd have shooting in Moody and Curry. Wiggins can hit the occasional 3. Kuminga can, but you got wings that would be able to drive in Kuminga and Wiggins that can slash to the hoop. I mean, you're slow out there right now. You kind of look like the San Francisco Giants, to use a baseball team that's old, slow, and boring. Hey, we don't have much power, but hey, we're slow too. You know,
Danny's stealing my material. I used that the other night.
We can't shoot, but we can't defend either.
Yeah,
I mean,
I said you're old, but you're slow. I mean, now you're stealing my material.
You got some of my material too. I've seen a couple of your.
Danny, let me respond just to say this. I know because it's hard. All of these sports are different. Do you know how close Stephen, Clay, and Draymond are?
Oh, I'm saying Draymond was out 5 games. I'm saying when he was out 5 games and Clay's out on not on the court. Experiment with the lineup.
I know, but your starting 5 didn't have Clay in there.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, listen, these dudes are like.
Okay, you know what you do? Start Clay and play him for 4 or 5 minutes, pull him, and then put the start. You know,
I just want everybody to know that in the midst of this conversation, Dan Coach Emilio has made 3 fantasy trades.
The trade deadline's over. I'm not able to.
Just in the midst of this live stream, he's made 3 fantasy trades. Nate Dogg says defund Danny. Yeah, you know that's you don't want to be defunded. That's you know what I mean. Because when you're defunded, you have no funds.
That's true. Alex ATL in your chat did raise a great point way earlier about how Greg Popovich adjusted with the Spurs. Like they were getting old. But he also saw they had Kawhi Leonard, who is rising and was an incredible talent. And dude, he gave him minutes, man. I guess I feel like Curtis has a trust issue with a lot of players who aren't in that core 3, and it would be nice if we saw more minutes from them.
How about this one on the chat? Carlos Guido, Popovich coaching the Warriors, he would encourage the booing for Clay. All right, we got to weigh in on that. That was like one of the epic things. Friday night, I'm coming home and I catch that. Popovich takes the mic and they were booing Kawhi Leonard and he says, "Hey, stop booing this guy." Yeah. And he sits back down and people start booing more. Yeah, we're better than that. No, you're not. You're actually a little bit worse than that. But no. Anyway, to me, I don't know. I mean, I want your guys' thoughts on it. I'll give you what my take on it was, but there was all takes in all different directions. There were people that were like, "Way to go, Pop! That was awesome. You're supporting Kawhi." And then there was everything from that to, "What the heck? The tickets are expensive. Sit the heck down. Coach the game." You know what I mean? The opinions were all over the map. So, what'd you guys think Friday night when you saw Popovich lecture the crowd? Ryan, you want to go first?
Go ahead.
Let's let Rye go first.
Go ahead, Rye.
Oh, it was just the worst. Also, it didn't help. It didn't help that like I feel like a couple minutes later, like there was like some quote from Steve Kerr that same night in the Suns game, and he's like, "It was too loud in there. They're playing. It was like they're playing a techno concert."
Yeah, that's right.
And it was like, oh, it's just the two of them. But I was thinking between the two of them, they just need to come to a compromise because. You got Greg Popovich on one side who refuses to play a true point guard for Wemby. He's running Jeremy Sohan out there at point, and it's just absolutely brutal. And everyone can see it's like, for the love of God, get Wemby, someone who can make an entrance pass. And then you have Kerr on the other side who must have a Corey Joseph or a Ty Jerome at all time. So,
well, Popovich is tanking. I mean, so that's the reason for that, just in case. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I'm on the counter to that. I liked it. I thought it was I thought it was a classy move. Kawhi Leonard was the finals MVP for the San Antonio Spurs. Like, he is the reason they defeated LeBron James and the Miami Heat. So I mean, I know there was a falling out there. You know, the Spurs thought Kawhi could have played, and Kawhi was like, "No, I can't. I'm injured." So I understand there was a falling out there, but to boo a guy who, you know, won you a championship, was the Finals MVP. I thought that was kind of weak. So shout out Pop,
and
man.
probably got you Wemby by leaving. So.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Pop's a big, you know, First Amendment, freedom of speech. He's got all kinds of opinions, and he shares them. It's sports. I mean, if it crossed a line of indecency, I'm totally with him. If it's just a bunch of people booing, I mean, what the heck? You know what it costs to go to these games? People can do what they want to do. I don't tell him how to express himself. He shouldn't tell the audience how to express themselves. I mean, what is he, the czar of all audio? I mean, sit the hell down, coach the game. He's had so many people kissing his ass for so long that he just thinks he's more important than he is. It's like, sit down, coach the game, let people boo. Nobody's gonna die.
It wasn't even the whole arena. It was about
he's one of the greatest coaches
into
of
the
all
situation.
Time.
I don't know.
It just coaches all time.
There's no question, but I mean, just because you're one of the greatest coaches of all time doesn't mean that you don't make stupid decisions. I mean, we saw Woody Hayes, punch a kid at one point.
Yeah.
Bob Knight's lost it. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying these guys are not always right, and I just think that, don't lecture people. I'm a don't lecture people kind of a thing. When it comes to my basketball coaches, I don't want to be lectured. Does that make me crazy?
If this makes you feel better, but they ignored him. I don't know if you saw that. Like, he gave his speech, and then everyone just resumed booing. So
if they crossed the line and it was really personal or verbal or in any way distasteful, then I'm totally with you. But if it's just booing,
it kind of reminded me like playing CYO at St. Agnes and some parent getting up and like, all right, everybody, these are just kids here. They're all trying. Let them play. Come on, we're better than that.
If you're booing a 6th grade CYO game, you probably need to go take in a meeting or something. Have an intervention. Frank, what'd you think? Popovich, I mean, we all love Popovich. He's a Hall of Fame coach. It has nothing to do with his credentials. His credentials are impeccable. We know he's a great coach. Mm-hmm. What'd you think of the lecture to the fans?
I mean, for some, I'm sure it felt real condescending. But from my perspective, I'm not somebody who really boos. I never had the opportunity to be a fan when I was a kid. I never went to any games. I learned about sports by watching them on television. I'll say this: be the person that you are. Don't be the fan who is criticizing athletes for 19 things that they don't do, and be kind of sacrilegious about how you conduct yourself, and then go out and boo and do things and say things to players that you don't think is appropriate. So my whole thing is just be true to who you are. If you are somebody who, like, I love to go boo, then go boo. It's fine. But if you're not that person, understand what Kawhi means to your organization. Even though you don't like how the whole thing wound up, he's never been disrespectful to you. Kawhi was like, I didn't even hear him. So my thing is just be true to who you are. Be consistent. And Pop, and just like you said, Larry, Pop's a great man. He's a humanitarian. He's not always right. I think in retrospect, he probably would not have done that, even though he probably felt the same way. But he doesn't always get it right. And that act probably would not have happened if he had a chance to think about it again.
My instinct was, when I first heard it, Pop wants to get Kawhi back to play with Wembanyama.
Whoa!
And that he knows that the Clippers are just a volatile mess, and that Kawhi easily could be on the market, and he doesn't want that relationship fractured. I think that's what he's thinking about. That would be my guess. Because, I mean, he likes Kawhi. Kawhi likes him. Kawhi's still a top-tier player. He can play very well with Victor. And maybe he's thinking, man, if he hates the people here and they hate him, it's a thing. That will never happen. We can't do that.
I thought the exact same thing, Larry. That was that. I thought there was an agenda there.
People think about themselves a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
And
they do.
if I was a coach, I'd be like, hey, wait a second. Let's not alienate one of the superstars who might come to play for San Antonio. And, so that's what I was thinking. Amar Singh said, yes, 2022 was a Curry and Kerr masterpiece.
Yeah, take the Kerr part out of it, and yes.
It's like the donut guy in Walnut Creek.
I'm just poking him at this point.
The great CK who owns the donut shop out in Walnut Creek. Every time I see him, he's like, he's hilarious. He comes up to me and he's like, Kerr, man, he's got to go. Like, he's so negative on Kerr. I'm like, dude, you realize there's been parades, right? There's been like 4 parades. Do you remember those parades? And he's like, yeah, man, but Kerr's got to go, man. It's awesome. Once again, my brother continuing to annoy us with Light the Beam.
At least he's giving you money doing that.
Yeah.
So.
And we got this one as well from G Code Travels Vlog. Would San Francisco Giants hire Ichiro to the Giants coaching staff to attract Ohtani? I think Ichiro might pay the Giants not to be on their coaching staff so he could then just enjoy his life as a millionaire that he is. The guys as good as Ichiro don't become coaches. You know what I mean? It's like come on. What megastar has become a coach? Right?
In baseball?
Who's the biggest star coach?
Like Larry Bird was a really big one.
I mean, that's doing it right now. That's doing it right now in any sport.
Dusty just retired. Was
he a star player?
He was a pretty decent
player. I would say he was definitely a star player in the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what about Joe Torre? Joe Torre was pretty good, right?
Yeah, Joe Torre was good, but he's not doing it right now.
I like G. Martinez, Deion Sanders. That's a good one.
Deion Sanders. Oh, there you go. That's the ultimate one right there.
Yeah, Deion.
Primetime. Let's see. We have one more here that somebody Woodpit threw this out before. I put it up before. Wiggins, Paul, and Kuminga to Toronto for Anunoby and Siakam.
Ooh.
Is that possible?
If it is, I would throw in a first round pick in that deal.
Yeah.
To make
in that deal, you get 2 big time players.
Yep.
You keep Klay Thompson. Steph remains happy.
You don't lose what you would lose with Kuminga. Like Anunoby is very similar, at least in terms of physique and what Kuminga does now. Like Anunoby is very similar. I would 100%.
Yeah, and Anunoby signed for 1 more year after this for only like 18.
The Warriors couldn't run their offense with those guys. I mean, the Warriors are married to this offense until Kerr leaves or something, unimaginable happens. So, everything that they're doing is from a lens of can they play in this offense? Anunoby and Pascal and this other guy, they couldn't play in this offense. So,
if that's the case, then the Steve Kerr era needs to start wrapping up. I mean, it's. Yeah, I don't. That's.
By the way, here is the deal with Kawhi. People who haven't heard it.
We can't hear it, Larry.
A moment of silence.
Are you playing it, Larry? Because we can't hear it.
Is Larry frozen? Did Larry freeze?
No, I see his face moving. Yeah, there's a light.
Okay.
There we go.
I don't know why he's ignoring us, but he's there.
There we go. Did you hear that?
No.
You didn't hear us saying that. We couldn't hear it.
Oh, you couldn't get that. Okay.
No, we weren't hearing anything.
We didn't hear nothing. As we were having a moment of silence on the Krug show.
Son of a. I mean. Hold on. Let me try it one more time. All right. Are we there? Now you can see it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Yes.
Pops on the mic. Stop all the booing. Let these guys play. It's got no class. It's not who we are. Knock off the booing.
He's starting to look old.
Knock it off, or I'm gonna.
Leonard.
Are you gonna all go home?
Get off my lawn.
Oh, you know what? I've got a 49ers related take that I wanted to. I just was thinking about it the other day.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about the MVP and what a bummer it is, and how it just seems to be like this process of elimination in the NFL right now. Like no one's really standing out, so it's just kind of like who's the last guy standing, who's playing kind of okay. And I'm hearing a lot of people say nationally, like, oh, well, Brock Purdy can't win the MVP because, well, we all know it's Brock Purdy. Like, come on, like he's not as good as Mahomes. We just can't say that Brock Purdy is the most valuable player in the league. So I was trying to think, how can I come at this from a different type of perspective to convince someone that Brock Purdy is truly the most valuable player in the NFL? Now, this is what I thought of. And I'm going to use Mahomes as an example because it works beautifully with my point. So Patrick Mahomes is responsible for 21 touchdowns this year. Brock Purdy is responsible for 21 touchdowns this year. The word value, when I hear it, I think money. I think in terms of deal. Klay Thompson, not very valuable right now at this current number, but Klay Thompson making $700,000 a year. Now, there's a lot of teams that would line up to trade for that. So Brock Purdy right now, each touchdown, for every touchdown that he's gotten this year, it's cost, if we just go by just the salary, or wait. Yeah, if you basically divide touchdowns by their salary, basically for every touchdown, you're paying Brock Purdy $2,647. Oh, wait, no, that's not true. $41,428. So
we've entered into
$41,000,
ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
we've entered into math.
$41,000 per touchdown. Patrick Mahomes, on the other hand, $2.65 million per touchdown. Now, you tell me that isn't value. $41,000. The guy. So I'm basically, that is where I'm coming from, because the guy is. Well, the MVP could make the argument that he
is a misnamed award. It should be just.
I think, in short, what Ryan Smith is trying to impart is that Brock Purdy is a fucking great deal.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
it's a great deal.
Hey, I want to know, Cy, did you talk on your show about Curry's last shot of the game? How he was fouled?
No. I don't think I even saw that. He did? He got fouled?
Watch this. If I can move this close enough. He got stepped on.
Danny's intent on getting us demonetized.
Well, the officiating was awful. The officiating. I mean, look, they're not even pretending there's a bias anymore. Like between the God damn it. I mean, yeah, the officiating's bad. Player thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, I got it. Since we have you all here, let me share the screen. I want to show one thing here.
Watch this. Watch his foot there.
Hold on. Dan's showing his phone.
Look at this.
Dan, if we see, if I
clear foul, clear foul.
Danny, he kicked his leg out. Come on.
But he didn't kick it that far.
Come on.
He didn't go up.
You can't do that. You can't. I mean, they legislated in the NBA. You can't do that.
Yeah.
All right. Probably a guy who I just can't stand the most in sports right now.
Who's that?
Here we go.
Sirianni.
Who is that? Sirianni.
Oh, we're gonna see that guy next week.
As you're watching this the third time, the guy in front of him with the glasses is former Niner PR guy Bob Lang.
Really?
Yeah,
that is.
There's Bob Lang thinking, used to be with Harbaugh.
What's going to happen Sunday?
He probably loves Sirianni.
We're up to 3-point favorites. I don't like it. That's such bulletin bold material.
How do you guys feel about Niners Eagles on Sunday?
How are the Niners favorites in this game? That part blows my mind.
Niners are 3-point favorites in the game.
Why?
Extra rest. 3 days extra rest.
Vegas thinks they're the far superior team.
Few injuries.
I would not take that bet at all, man. I love my Niners, but that's.
I mean, how can you even pick a winner? I mean, these are two really, really good teams.
Right.
The only thing that I can inject is the weather, inclement weather. If inclement weather plays a role, then I think the team that runs the best is going to win. But offensively and defensively, these teams are close. I don't know anybody who can definitively say X is going to win, because I don't know, to be honest with you. What I want to see is a great game. I like Jalen, and, hey, Brock Purdy is a wizard. So
the weather for Philadelphia on Sunday is supposed to be a high of 53, low of 46, 65% rain.
Okay.
Ooh. I'm a little worried about Brock's, just because that narrative got started in the Cleveland game about him having small hands and it slipping around. It scares me.
Small hands, does he?
No,
not really.
Got 9 1/4.
That's big. He doesn't have Alex Smith hands. That's the important thing, right? He does not have Alex Smith hands.
He's got bigger hands than Mahomes. So
Okay,
I don't know whatever that means.
All right.
This game is going to be a slugfest. It's going to have a playoff-like atmosphere. And Frank, I'm with you. I think the team that runs the ball better, kind of controls the clock, runs it efficiently, I think that's the team that's going to win. But also, the D-line's got to get after Hurts. What I've seen the last couple of weeks, like with what the Chiefs did and what the Bills did, if you can pressure Hurts, man, his eyes kind of drop down. He's not surveying the field. I saw Devontae Smith running open a few times downfield, but he's not seeing him because the pass rush is getting after him. So Wilkes has been kind of scheming it up and dialing things up timely, blitzing at opportune times. And I call it mugging the gap. It's one of the adjustments I think Wilkes has made, but he's bringing up the linebackers towards the line of scrimmage, and it's given the offensive line some trouble as to who's blitzing. So get after Jalen Hurts. And then the Niners, they're going to have to run the ball efficiently, because if they're getting, behind on the chains and you're letting Hassan Reddick, kind of pin his ears back up against Colton McKivitz, that might be especially in the rain, might get you into some trouble. So it's got to be a McCaffrey game, fellas. Or Debo. Debo. Little quick stuff to Debo, and then
The always insightful chat, Eric L says he doesn't have Dan's hands.
Oh, I forgot about Dan's hands.
Remember Dan's hands? We did like an entire show on Dan's hands.
I missed that one. Can you give me the clip notes?
Well, Dan's got smaller hands than most men.
Okay. Like
That's
Joey
all right.
Tribbiani hands. If you watch Friends, like there was an episode where he had small hands. Is that?
Oh man.
He's got normal size hands except smaller. I don't know why we talked about that one night, but I'm like, you
the early days of the
small
Quick Show,
hands.
panning for
We were all up in the camera. It was a classic episode. All right. Well, what do you think? What do you guys think? Rye, let's get a prediction before we bolt for the door on the Krug show.
I need another math analogy out of Rye, how this game's going to
Seriously. I took out a Sharpie just because I knew that I thought, you know what, Rye's going to talk again. I'm gonna have to write something down like a chart. No, but let's go give a prediction here. What do you guys think? Because I'll tell you the thing, Jalen Hurts is just playing so freaking well. And it just, the way I look at this, and maybe I'll change my mind as I get closer to the game, but I'm seeing how the season's playing out, and it just seems like, I don't know that the 49ers are going to beat Philly in Philly twice this year. You know what I mean? I think they could probably beat them in Philly once this year. Asking them to beat them twice in Philly is a tall ask. And it's like, I just think that they got to play decent in this game. And I mean, the Niners could win this game and still be back in Philly in the NFC Championship game. So it's not like there's, if they want to be hosting that game, they have to win it. The 49ers have to win it. And they want to be hosting that game. So they're going to go hard and go, this is the game of the year. Niners, I really have felt are going to fire in this game all year. And I just really believe they're going to play a great game and probably win. But they could be back there. You know what I'm saying? They could be back in Philly later. So, the way I'm seeing this season unfold, it seems to me like the Eagles look like they're getting tired and beat up, and they're kind of limping to the finish line. Lane Johnson's got a groin injury. He may not go. He's their veteran tackle. Fletcher Cox has got, some injury. It seems like they've got some guys who may not go.
Yeah, Jordan Davis pulled something, and Jalen Hurts is dinged up.
Williams is out.
He's been dinged up.
Jalen Hurts, he's
Dallas
not moving the same as I've seen him previously. Like, he's running straight line. He's got the straight line speed, but he's not willing to plant on that knee and make a cut, just from what I've seen.
Yeah, and I just think that last year their O-line kicked the crap out of the Niner D-line. And in this game, I think the Niner D-line is going to win up front. The Niner D-line's rocking. Since they got Chase Young in the last 3 games, they got 15 sacks. Warner and Greenlaw are healthy and balling and running and hitting. And Jair Brown gives them a lot more physicality. And their corner play right now with Ambry and stepping in for Oliver has just been huge. Now,
What about the
it's
safeties?
a lot to ask for Ambry because he's a young player and he hasn't been good that long, but he's freaking athletic, man. I mean, we're talking about 4.4 speed, good size, great coverage ability. He had a pick on Thanksgiving that was amazing. So, yeah, it's the Niners. I like the Niners to win the game. I think it's going to be close, though. I'll say 49ers 24-21. As long as it's, I think the Niners win as long as they either win. Obviously, win big would be huge. Win, and then even if you don't win, if you lost, but you fought, incredible effort, you stood toe to toe with them in their place. I think in some ways that's a win. It's just it's going to be hard to win there twice. You know what I mean? So you're probably going to have to play there again. So I kind of see the Eagles as a team that might show up. They might go through this gauntlet. Buffalo, Kansas City, the Niners, they may run this gauntlet, and that may be the theme to their season, and then they get bounced in the playoffs because it just seems like they're getting the last 4 games, they've trailed at the half. They're starting to get a little tired. They've been outscored in the last 3 games by a lot. If you look at the point differential, Niners are plus 122. They're minus 2, I think, or plus 2.
I think they're like plus 62.
Plus 62. It's really it's a small number. Anyway, I think
they
49ers
dropped
win a close game.
I think they dropped the next 2.
The Niner D line right now, since they got Chase Young, Kinlaw's playing well. Givens is playing well. Armstead's playing amazing. Probably the best stretch I've seen the last 2 games. Hargrave's getting it dialed up. And then you got Bosa and Chase Young, and that's put Farrell into a more limited role, and then he can go super hard in his reps. They just added Beal Jr., who runs 4.4 and had one of the most amazing pass rushes this summer against Trent Williams. We'll see if if he makes an impact, but he is a speed rusher. I mean, this guy is fast. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, football's a weird thing. We'll see what they look like on Sunday. Hurts, to me, the Eagles have won all these games, and it's all on him, man. He knows when to pass, when to run. He never seemed like he makes big mistakes in the big moments. They've been a huge second-half team. They were getting destroyed, really, in a lot of ways, statistically, at halftime against Buffalo, and they just came back like it was nothing in the second half. Yeah. So
I feel like the Niners need to go all in this game, though. I saw someone in the chat mention maybe save some of your best plays for a potential rematch in the postseason, but that number 1 seed feels so important. And if the Niners win this game, you're suddenly just a game back. You own the tiebreaker. I hope they empty the playbook for this game. To me, it feels incredibly important. This game also gives me the signal of going with I call the emotional hedge bet, meaning I love this Niners team. This game scares the shit out of me. Eagles are underdogs plus 128 money line. I think I'm going to take the money line for the Eagles. So if the Eagles win, at least I get some money. If the Niners win, I'm going to bet just enough where it won't matter. I'll still be happy the Niners won.
Last super chat. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going for the rare emotional middle. I teased the Eagles up, so it's like a reasonable 9. So that way the Niners can still win comfortably, by a touchdown, and I can maybe emotionally middle.
So wait a second. You took the Eagles on the teaser, so you're getting 9.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I
Eagles
agree with
at home getting 9 is a very attractive bet.
Yeah.
And I agree with Woodpit 420. This does feel like Niners, Cowboys in the 90s. I totally feel that. It feels the exact same to me. I just hope it's not the 93 version.
Yeah, exactly. Dante Whitner said that he thinks it could be a Niner blowout.
I hope so.
Interesting. That would be nice.
He does media pretty well, doesn't he? Dante's interesting because
what's that?
He knows how to work the cameras, man. He does.
He's dapper, man. He's one of the best dressed guys I think I've ever been around. I said, Dante, man, you're just slick.
And
he'll color coordinated. He'll go scarf, and he'll go
pink.
He's on board too. This dude was a fierce football player.
Yeah,
but he's on
what a
board.
hitter, Pierre Thomas.
Oh my God!
Remember the Pierre Thomas hit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Folded him like a cheap suit.
Knocked him out.
I got the Niners winning 27-25. And why do I say 25? I think the Eagles go for 2 if they score early. I just see them trying to just make a statement, like, and they get 3 touchdowns. They have a successful 2-point conversion.
Specific.
They get 2 more touchdowns and a field goal. The Niners pull it off 27-25 on a Jake Moody field goal to walk it off.
Oh God, that's the other thing that just freaks me the hell out. Is just
The rookie kicker on the road beats
Elliott's
Eagles.
nails.
Yeah.
It's in the rain.
Got to go bold predictions, right? If no one will remember if I said they just win. If they win this way, hey, maybe I'll get a few more subs.
Look at
I like this. I like 27-24. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Philly has a better field goal kicker. So if you're a Niner fan, that would concern me a little bit.
Yep.
I think, that's the only difference. I mean, I think it's going to come down to a field goal.
They don't have a Wisnowski.
24. Oh, well, Wisnowski's been awesome. Just pinning teams at the 2, at the 6, at the 10. He was awesome last week. But now this Eagles game, it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be physical. It's going to be hard-nosed. I'm going 24-23 Niners. It's going to be a tight one. I'm thinking Debo's going to make a big play. I'm expecting kind of bring back the quick passing game, that Jimmy G style, because you're going to want to get the ball out quick to kind of negate this pass rush. Debo's going to make somebody miss in a house one. McCaffrey will have a pretty good game, but I want to talk about the tush push before I get out of here, because
I want to bring that up. Thank you, sir.
What I want to see, guys, let me know. And Larry, tell me if this is against the rules, because the only way to stop the tush push, in my opinion, is to take out the pushers. You got to take them out, because those pushers always, even if you stop Hurts on the initial QB sneak, the pushers come in and give him that second surge. I want to take out the pushers. I'm
Fred Warner flying over the top.
Around the edge.
No,
I'm talking about
over the top.
Going around the side and grabbing their legs and just taking them out so they can't push.
Grabbing their legs. I was thinking of putting my shoulder right into their kneecap, but also I'm not trying to injure them. I'm trying to just take out the pushers. I'm not trying to. I want to clarify.
You painted a very vivid picture with the shoulder to the kneecap.
And the kneecaps.
But I'm also trying to.
When you said cap, people thought maybe.
But I'm also but hear me out. I'm also trying to hold on, Dan. I'm also trying to get Jalen Hurts.
I'll mute
okay,
Dan.
so I'm going through the pusher's knee to get to Jalen Hurts so I can pull him, because I'm not trying to make it look too dirty for the optics. But you got to blow up the pushers, because that's how they always convert it. It's that second surge. So send a DB, a safety right around the edge. Light
it's
them up.
Strategic. It kind of reminds me of the opening scene from Gladiator when they went around the backside, and then all of a sudden they were getting bombed on both sides. It's a classic scene. You ought to watch it.
Yeah, Larry, who's the Niner defender that said he goes for that last year said
Jimmy
I go
Ward.
for Jimmy Ward? What was he saying? I go right
He
for
goes,
the
yeah. He goes, sometimes guys don't move around as well when you hit them in their ribs or their patella. He goes, he follows it up with, he goes, in their ribs or their patella.
That's it, yeah.
He said their patella. And when he said it, he had kind of this like oh, dude, Jimmy Ward's the best, man.
There you go, man. So
it's funny. The old coach used to say, some guys play for the girls, some guys play for the bread. And he goes, and some guys play just to be out there effing guys up. and Jimmy Ward's like a guy who plays to just F guys up. He loves to hit. The violence of the game, he lives for it. You know what I mean?
It was Ward, yeah. The patella.
He's
that
just
was it. The patella, man.
You hit him in his ribs. He doesn't move as well.
Hey,
I want to see Ray out there on defense, and I want Kinlaw to pick him up on the tush push and just hurl him over at Hurts.
You know what I'm rooting for in this game? I'm rooting for Dre Greenlaw to just close down on Hurts, like just at a speed that Hurts is not ready for, and just overpower Hurts and take away his running. Because to me, if they can negate Hurts' ability to run, Goddard's hurt. You got good enough corners. I think you'll be able to battle these receivers. They're going to make some plays. But I think it's not about the receivers. It's more about, can you get pressure on Hurts and bother Hurts and tackle Hurts? So I want to see Greenlaw's had a tremendous year.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's playing healthy, I would take him as almost over any linebacker in the game. I mean, he's so instinctive. So he's got to if Hurts takes off on these runs, he's got to shut the door and, break down in space athletically and bring him to the ground. And he's been really good at it, and avoid the penalty, because that's the other problem with Hurts, is that because he's a quarterback, and when he runs, if you get any kind of real hit on him, there's also the penalty of hitting the quarterback. So, the 49ers are going to have to stay in their rush lanes and really close down the pocket. But if you watch that Thursday night game, that's exactly what they did to Geno. So I think they've got a good chance in this game. But it'll be interesting. It's one of the games of the year for sure. Guys, let's jet, because we all have big days tomorrow, and I know you guys are probably been in here for a while. Let's tell everybody about your channel, Baller. Why don't you jump in first? Let me move Baller to the center of the ring here, and maybe it will have. Does it? For some reason, where's the label? How come for some reason, I'm not getting your guys' names underneath with your deal. I'll have to figure that out here. But go ahead, Baller. Give us your channel. Give us your info. Bay Area Baller 18, right?
That's right. Bay Area Baller 18. I go live a few times a week. I appreciate you having me. Love talking ball. One of the most frustrating regular season Warriors losses that in recent memory, because it did kind of have like a playoff atmosphere, but frustrating loss. Although, on a positive note, I am really looking forward to this Niners game. It's going to be a big one. I think whoever wins this game is going to lock down the NFC and get the bye. Like, I don't think the Eagles are going to run the table. They've almost slipped up and lost like 3 of their last games. They've been close. They've been down at half. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good week. Hey, everyone in the chat, subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and we'll talk soon. All right.
Peace. Rye, you want to jet?
Yeah, I'll jet. Subscribe to my channel, West Coast Bias on YouTube. Please subscribe.
What's the hat? What's that hat representing?
Oh, Curry brand, baby.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
It's this. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure.
Final thought. Eagles are going to lose this. Niners are going to win by margin, I think. 10+ points. And I think the Eagles drop this one and the Cowboys game. I still think they're going to get the 1 seed, though, because the Niners have some. I mean, they got to play the Ravens. They got some sneaky ones. That Seahawks game's a little sneaky when they get home. But yeah.
I saw a video you were doing the other day with your buddy. What were you guys talking about? Warriors?
Probably just like general football or college football. Which, by the way, college football also this weekend is just off the chain.
Some great college football this last weekend.
Florida State needs to lose for everyone.
They've got great athletes. Florida State has great athletes.
Well, because they lost their quarterback, and if they win this game, they're only 2.5-point favorites over Louisville. If they win this game, they're going to be in the college football playoff. But just
the defensive
no one wants
verse is just crazy great. He's tremendous.
Yeah. I'm hoping Oregon. Give me Oregon, Texas,
Oregon, Washington,
Alabama. Yeah, Oregon, Washington. I think Oregon's like a 9-point favorite.
Who are you going for?
I love
Oregon.
Oregon.
I think Oregon can actually like.
I'm a Michael Penix person. I love Michael.
I think Oregon can win the whole thing.
Have you read? You big college football guy? What do you think of? Have you seen Penix from UW? What do you think?
Yeah, I watch everything. Been a big fan of his since he was in Indiana. One of the more accurate quarterbacks. But I thought he was, positioned well to win the Heisman. But I think Bo Nix is going to win. I think in terms of consistency, even though Washington beat them, now that could change on Friday night if Penix goes off. But Bo Nix has a lot of momentum. I like both guys. It'll be interesting to see how they advance to the next level. To me, it's all about Alabama and Georgia this weekend, though. To me, this is one of Nick Saban's best coaching jobs, man. He's been
Alabama's
awesome.
got some crazy great players, but I mean that game against Auburn in the Iron Bowl was just
Unbelievable.
Oh my god.
unbelievable. I mean, seriously, it was 4th and 25 for Bama.
Yeah.
And in college football, if you grab the receiver, it's just a 15-yard penalty. And Bond gets open in the back of the end zone, and Milroe just absolutely throws a bullet. And I mean, it was just unbelievable. And then the last play of the game, I thought was a pick 6, and I would have covered on my teaser because it was 8, and that would have been 9. And they said they flashed 33-24, 33-24 with the pick 6, and Alabama wins it. Woo! And I'm sitting there, I'm talking to Kev, and I'm like, dude, greatest win of all time. Unbelievable. Greatest win. And then he has this long speech, and they're right about to, the music comes on for CBS, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. It's awesome. And then the announcer, Greg, whatever, comes in. He's Brad Nessler or whatever, whoever it was, is like, he's like, all right, goodbye from, blah, blah, blah. And, oh, by the way, that last touchdown didn't count. And the final score. And I'm like, what?
I didn't even realize that didn't count.
Yeah, they didn't count the pick 6.
Yeah. Did they say he stepped out of bounds or what?
Maybe they thought he touched his knee touchdown when he caught it, or maybe he stepped out. I don't think he stepped out, but I'm like sitting there going, oh my God, that's the worst beat of all time. It's a terrible beat. So
yeah.
But Alabama's got some incredible players. That offensive tackle Latham and the Terrion, the corner, is just ridiculously great. And
it's gonna be a great weekend of football.
Peyton Turner or whatever, the defensive end, the pass rusher, he's just nuts. They got all kinds of guys. The receivers, big time for them. Bama's incredible. But
I have one more fun bet for you guys. I think this will just be a fun one to watch and root for. Is Iowa's over under in the Big Ten championship game versus Michigan?
Super low scoring,
6.5.
Wow,
team total
just for
6.5.
Iowa.
Yeah, just to score one. All they got to do is score one touchdown.
Their offense is so bad.
Their defense is good though, but maybe they'll score a touchdown on D. Wow,
Danny, tell us about your channel before you jet.
Yeah, love to do that. Let me make one point from a friend, Sean Proctor. All
right, we muted Danny. It's just he's better this way. So the show's better. No, I'm just joking, Dan. I'm just joking. Here we go.
He's
back. He's back. All right, hey, wait a second. We got it. We got it. No, I'm just joking. Go ahead. Start from the top, Dan.
Yeah, I do that to Eric. I get
top.
back at. All right, so
one more time with some feeling. Dan Coach Emilio, everybody.
This is from Sean Proctor. This is what he wanted me to say. He said, in the past, Draymond worked as a non-scorer because Clay was at his peak. With him struggling, having Draymond and Looney not being able to finish at the rim is a major problem. Draymond was unguarded underneath the rim twice or more tonight in the second half, and they didn't pass to him. That is a huge problem. So I didn't see that. I would have mentioned it earlier. So, but yeah, he does make a good point about that. Sean does. I'm at NorCal Sports Network. We had an unbelievable show last night, 4 hours long, our longest show. Go watch it. It's like the Krug show because Larry talked for 3 hours. So it was great. He held the audience, man. No, it was great, man. We would have went 4 hours. We would have been dwindling down to about 2 or 3 people. But Larry held us, man. He kept the audience strong because people love to listen to him. So we covered the Giants.
That's embarrassing. Now let's just. Do you have anything good to say besides sucking up to the host?
Hey, man, I don't want to get muted again.
I got my finger on the mute button. I can mute you at any second.
I know you can.
No, but everybody joined Danny's channel. He's got a great channel. It's not just baseball. It's also his talk about the senior center that he lives in.
I moved from there, man. I moved.
He talks about, he eats on the streams, and it's very relaxed. It's a great.
It's a relaxing.
It's a good time.
A lot of
fun. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Maybe we'll talk to you after Niners Eagles on Sunday.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Look forward to it. All right.
There you go. All right, there we go.
Yeah, let me jump in here before I get out.
Okay.
I appreciate y'all. First of all, we don't talk
Let's
as
get
often.
let's get this Kuminga thing rekindled. By the way, I mean,
There's no animus. There's no animus there. It's
hey,
just just a debate.
Hey, I want to
I'm
marry. Listen, man.
I'm just joking.
I love lies. I love size.
I love you, brother. I love you. I'm still waiting for the invite for your show.
Well, I mean, okay. Listen.
Say when. I'll invite you too. I owe you an
okay.
invite. I know I do. But if you ever want me on, say the word, man. I'll happily do so.
Okay, we'll definitely do it. It's coming real soon. But I love your loyalty. I love your perspective.
Right back at you.
And Larry and everybody, you guys are throwing listeners my way, and many of the people who checked me out were obviously on tonight's show. So having a lot of fun. At Big Frank Red in the Dungeon Show. I'm doing about 2 live shows a week, and I kind of feel like a high school kid, a high school all-star, just putting good content, putting good tape out there, man, and having a lot of fun. So
that is awesome, Frank. We love talking ball with you. We're not doing every Warrior game, but we're going to do a bunch of them, and appreciate you jumping in. And
right.
I'm hoping that this story becomes juicy as the season goes on. We'll talk to you soon, man. Take care.
Take care.
There you go, Frank Red in the house.
Are you going to have Warriors shows if the Warriors end up turning into total shit? That's
nah. I'm fair weather.
Yeah, Locked On Warriors is going to be.
Yeah, I'm not locked on. Like you're locked on. I'm kind of like slightly paying attention until it gets interesting. Right. Now I like talking Warrior ball, but we've been talking so much Niners. It's like I'm probably we're just immersed in Niners. But I would like to do more Warrior post games because it gets interesting. I can watch Warriors Kings all the time because my brother's in SAC, and I like to keep up on the good trash talk.
Yep.
And something about Warriors Kings that feels kind of fun all the time.
It's weird, man. I don't like using that word rivalry unless the other team's also winning, and we haven't seen that with the Kings yet. But it sure feels like it, man. Like I feel like the emotional animosity is real between the two fan bases. So yeah, good stuff. Your brother won tonight, unfortunately. Is that the judge?
Yeah, there he is.
Your honor. Bravo.
Light the beam. What is that?
Gavel.
What is that? Is that a picture? What is that? Is that a penguin?
Yeah, there's a penguin. I don't know what happened there.
What's going on there? My brother's a penguin. So there you go. $1.99 for what have I said? I start calling him the penguin. Hey, what's up, penguin?
Danny DeVito. Is he pudgy? Is he overweight? Does he fit that?
No, he's very lean and mean.
Okay,
he's unbelievably fit. Nice. All right, Bay Area. He says, I'm just joking. We're all kind of pudgy. Bay Area. I want to see rain, fellas. It's time to see if Brock could play in the rain or not. 49ers have a good enough team to go on the road and run the table. I agree with all of that. I don't know if I want to see. I don't know if I want to see the rain, but I would say I don't fear the rain.
I want to say, dude, your Niners coverage is phenomenal. I'll slip in with my Twitter little burner account and just give you love when I can because you nail it almost every time, dude. If you're a Niners fan, and I'm not saying this just because we're friends. I genuinely mean this, and this goes back. Example being, you called Brock Purdy being a legit QB months before anyone else did. Like you are the Niners whisperer. So anyone who's a Niners fan out there, Larry, you're the man, dude. Just kudos.
Look at that. Shout out for my Niner coverage.
Worthy. And it's not really a burner either. It's everyone. But anyways, yeah, because I'm not on Twitter that much anymore. But I go on there there's still enough people on there, right, to get information, right? So I still go there to see what other people are writing. And then I'll see you, and I'm like, I got to give Larry love, man. So, yeah, anyways.
Well, we appreciate you, brother. Tell people about Locked On, how they can join, how often you do shows, so daily. On and so forth.
We're the only daily Warriors program.
Locked 7 days Warriors. A week or 5 days?
It's 5 days, but then like we've had 7. If it calls for it, we'll do it.
Look at you. You're devoted to the craft.
Have to be if you want to succeed in it. You know as well as anyone, dude. You'll go, like, for people who aren't aware of this, Larry, you'll go like days where you'll get 3-4 hours of sleep. I don't know how you pull it off, but you're dedicated to your craft, and I think that's why you're so good at covering the Niners. But you have to be, man. You're not going to be good at this if you're not like married to it. So
you got to be into it. You got to be into it. You got to, you got to be able to at least discuss it, on a regular basis. And people want content every single day. And,
Yes,
we
they
love
do.
doing it. And the channel's growing and we're having a lot of fun and making good living doing it and enjoying it. So
it's a goal.
I really appreciate everybody for, joining the channel and supporting the channel. By the way, on the channel front, we are blowing up right now as far as subs. We're approaching, as we're sitting here, I think we're approaching 28,765.
Bravo.
So approaching 29,000.
Wow.
So if you've yet to hit like and subscribe, please hit like and subscribe. We've had over almost 1.5 million views of the Krug Show, either streams or videos or both.
Bravo,
in the last
man.
28 days.
Bravo.
So
Damn, dude.
to me is just amazing. And almost 2,000 new subscribers in the last 28 days.
Bravo, dude.
How about that, dude? It's unbelievable. Sometimes I look at that and I'm just like, unbelievable. And then I look at some of the YouTube analytics, and there's people all over the country that watch these shows. And it's really kind of cool. And I know I've gotten contacted from a lot of people who are like, man, I'm a Bay Area sports fan and now I'm living in Idaho. And, you bring me closer to the Bay because you're kind of doing kind of almost like a radio show, but a talk show, but it's a TV show and it's sports in the Bay and that kind of thing. It brings me closer to the Bay. So when I hear that, I think, you know what? That's freaking pretty cool. So
Hell yeah,
anyway,
man.
Thanks to for those people who are supporting the channel from outside Northern California. All right, shout out to the sponsors. Thanks to New York Style Italian Sausage, Marin Auto Glass, 415-883-3030, MarinAutoglass.com.
That's a new one. Congrats.
Yes, Saeed, the owner of Marin Auto Glass. If they, you shatter a windshield, Si, and you need someone to come out, pop it out, glaze in the new one, sweep away the glass, one-stop shop, Marin Auto Glass.
Dude, they're killing it, right? I mean, with all these break-ins in San Francisco. Do they do business in San Francisco? Do they go over the bridge?
Yes.
There you go. Killing
There
it.
you go.
Congrats.
Absolutely doing great. Marin Auto Glass. And then, of course, Pig in a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville, Corte Madera. We're doing a meet and greet at Pig in a Pickle on December the 17th in Corte Madera.
I'll be there. 17th?
Can you come? Yeah, 17th.
Dude,
it's a Sunday. It's Niners Cardinals, and we're gonna watch Niners Cardinals there and have some barbecue and hang out and drink beers.
I'm there.
And
Consider
me
me there.
do it? Let's do it. We'll be there from 1 to 5. Bringing my family. I think even there's gonna be a bunch of people there.
I love it.
And of course, the barbecue is amazing. We'll watch a little Niners.
If I'm not imposing, I don't want to impose. I mean,
no, we more the merrier.
Right.
I'm saying it on the channel because everybody's invited. If you live in Northern California and you want to do a little meet and greet, Pig in a Pickle, we're gonna be there December 17th for Niners Cardinals between 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock. They close at 8 o'clock. So it's right there in Corte Madera. It's in the mall. What I would suggest is come, almost like an open house. Stop by because we're going to watch the game and then we're going to go live after the game from Pig in a Pickle.
Oh, wow.
But the cool thing is you can go Christmas shopping, right? It's the 17th of December. It's a mall. So you come out, have some barbecue, go shopping in the mall, bring the kids, say hello, and have some Pig in a Pickle, and then go Christmas shopping in Corte Madera and come back and watch me do my post-game show from my laptop at Pig in a Pickle.
Love it.
Look at that. How about that?
Kevin's going to be there too. I haven't met him yet.
Kev's in the house.
All right, good stuff.
My daughter and her boyfriend will be there.
How is that, dude? Like, is he a good dude? Is he a good guy?
He's a very good guy. He's a very good guy. Goes to law school at Gonzaga.
Oh, congrats.
And then my two younger guys will be there. My wife, and hopefully a bunch of listeners. So please meet us. I did a meet and greet with Damon at some place in the city, and it was a lot of fun. And so if you're a fan of the Krug Show and you're local, you are invited right now. We'll have more. We'll talk more about it a lot between now and the 17th. But yeah, December 17th, Sunday from 1 to 5, 6 will probably be on after the game talking Niners Cardinals. So join us for that. Also, go to the store on the YouTube page, and you can buy merch like this. And there's a bunch of different options there. And everybody who orders anything at the store, I do a personalized video call for. And I'll do that, continue to do that as well. That's always fun.
Is that a hoodie? What are you wearing there?
Just a jacket. Jacket.
I see the jacket's over the crew. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I could go jacketless. Now I'm in a t-shirt. There you go.
Love it.
What else? Oh, what else we have going on the schedule? So tomorrow I'm down in 49er land. We'll do, Shanahan talks at right around midday. Then we'll go into the locker room, talk to some of the players. We'll have some of that stuff tomorrow afternoon for you. Tomorrow evening on the show, Wednesday night, we go live with Kevin from Cal Poly, and we'll do a call-in show. We didn't do one last week because he was partying with his friends in San Luis Obispo, or actually in the Bay Area. After he'd come home for a Thanksgiving break, he's like, "Dad, I'm drinking beers with my buddies." I'm like, go ahead. Just why don't you keep doing that? But anyway, we are
slow living, dude. Slow living. Yeah, I love that, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, but now he was here. So then tomorrow night at Wednesday night, we'll do that. Then Thursday, I'm back in Ninerland, and then Thursday night, the big show with Jesse and Vish. Friday is going to be a great day on the Krug Show as well. We'll go with Damon Bruce early in the morning at 8 a.m., Chase Sr. at 10 a.m., and then we're going to have Ike Reese on at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. The Ike at Night from WIP in Philly, the former Eagles linebacker, is going to join us. Really looking forward to that. And then Saturday at 9 a.m., the coach will be in the house. Sunday, we got Niners Eagles, and we'll be with you in the postgame and talking a lot, hopefully, about the 49ers victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's schedule coming up next few days.
And you brought up Damon Bruce. I want to mention he's coming on the show tomorrow on Locked On Warriors. If anyone wants to jump in and throw questions at us, this should be an interesting show. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., Locked On Warriors. Damon will join me.
Sounds good, man. So for Cy, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to everybody, and have a great night. Thanks for joining us on.
Thanks for having me, man.
The Krug Show.
Thank you, brother.
Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you won't get exactly